This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to an extremely warm day in sunny South Africa. There is an impala that is doing a very clever thing by trying to move into some shade. It really is quite hot out here, and so that will be the order of the afternoon. To start with is, I think, shady places for the animals to just sit and try and wait out the heat. My name is Tristan. On camera I've got Craig this afternoon, aka the Batman, and he will be with us for the remainder of the drive, and hopefully we will have a very, very good one as we go along. Now, it is the start of our school safari, so it's a very warm welcome to Rice Creek Elementary. I hope that you're going to have the most wonderful time with us as we explore not only here in South Africa but in Kenya as well. Now remember, the whole time you can interact with us, which means you can ask lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of questions, and you can do that by giving them to your teacher, and your teacher will send them through, and we'll try and answer as many as you've got. So send away, and hopefully we'll discuss lots and lots of things. For all of our regular viewers, remember that while we will get the questions from the kids for the first 45 minutes, you can start asking questions later in the drive when we continue after the school safari, and we'll answer them then. Good. Now the plan is for this afternoon is, because it's so hot, we're going to go and try and check all the water holes. We're going to go try and see if we can find places where maybe some of the animals have gone to go and drink or are just sitting in the shade and near the water. These impalas, funny enough, are not too far from a little water point. They're probably on their way there to go and just try and get some water to quench their thirst. You can see it's very dry. There's no leaves on the trees. The grass is brown. That's because we're at the end of our winter, and with the hot temperatures like this, it's quite difficult for them to find really nice shade, and they often get quite dehydrated, and so they'll be going for water now in the afternoon. So it's a really good place to go and look for animals, is around all of the water points, and that's what we're going to try and do. Hopefully we'll get quite lucky. We're going to try and see if we can maybe find you a very spotted, very elusive cat called a leopard in the time that we're here. Right, now I said that it's not just me here in South Africa. We've got another friend of mine, Steve. He's all the way up in East Africa, so let's go say hello.
Mara Triangle, 4 countries or so north of South Africa. The temperature is a very nice 29 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, although it was about half an hour ago. We've had a rainstorm that's just come through. We had to batten down the hatches for about 20 minutes, and it is now past. In the distance you could see some wildebeest. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined on camera by James, and as I said, we're out in the African wilderness in the Masai Mara Triangle, where there are plenty, if we go back over there, plenty of wildebeest. And above the wildebeest on the horizon, James, you can actually see where the rain has been falling. There is still some rain falling up in the distance, and it is really, really nice and cool now all of a sudden. I was sweating moments ago, and now my jacket is on and everything is calmed down. You see above the mountain there, it's a little bit hazy, and that is rain falling. It moved past, gave us all a good wetting, and has now moved on. So our plans for the afternoon, we've already been out for a couple of hours looking all over the place for a pride of lions called the Sausage Tree Pride, and also for a female cheetah by the name of Kenya, but we haven't had any luck so far. But it is still fantastic to be out here, where we are on the tail end of the migration, where 1.3 million wildebeest made the crossing from the Serengeti to the south up here into the Mara Triangle, where the beautiful grass is feeding them. And they are really, really enjoying themselves. Don't they look like they're having a marvelous time? And in amongst those wildebeest, you can see a couple of lighter spots. Those are in fact zebra that also make the migration up into the Mara with the wildebeest, and it is a spectacle that many, many people across the world come to witness. It's one of those great sort of adventures on the African landscapes that doesn't occur in too many places in the world anymore. And this is the best place to do it. Everywhere, as far as the eye can see, is wilderness. And somewhere out there, boys and girls, are lions, leopards, hyena, cheetah, and we just have to go and find them. So it's quite a hard task, you can see, but the good thing to do is to stop on top of a nice sort of vantage point like this and to scan with the camera, scan with the binoculars. There we go, another herd of wildebeest. And quite often the lions are actually following the wildebeest, and because it was very hot, the lions were hiding under the trees, or sleeping under the trees. But now that it's cooled down a bit, there's a good chance we might have them up and moving. So that could be the possibility. But in the meantime, from the large migration and enormous herbivores, let's go down to South Africa, where Tristan has got a very small mammal.
I do indeed. I've got a very, very small one, and probably much smaller than a lot of the squirrels that you've seen back home. So our squirrels here, the little tree squirrel, is one of the smallest squirrel species in the world. It's not very, very big at all. It's nothing like the big red squirrels or the black squirrels and grey squirrels. They are a lot larger than these guys. But these guys are very, very common out here. And earlier I was saying that we're going to try and look for a leopard. Now these squirrels, you might think, will have nothing to do with a leopard, but actually they can be a really good thing because they can help you find leopards quite easily. They often make a lot of noise if they see a leopard, and because they're in most trees as we drive along, they like a little sort of guard, and as they hear the leopard moving, then you hear this one's calling, then the next one calling, and so you can work out exactly where your leopard has gone. So they're very, very good to us. We need to use them quite regularly. The only problem is sometimes they can be a little bit kind of, what would the word be? They can lie a little bit about what they're seeing. Sometimes they alarm call at anything, and then it can make it a little bit tricky. So they're not the most reliable when it comes to spotting things and actually identifying what it is. There's other animals that do that better, but still, they do a good job. They do help us out, and they are very, very cute. Now, oh, hang on. There was a nyala, but it's moved off. Anyway, there was an antelope that ran away. Let's send you, though, back across to Steve, who's now not only in the migration, he's got... No, we're not going to go to Steve just yet, so we'll wait for a little bit before we do. Our nyala, unfortunately, ran away. It was an antelope that was there, and they can sometimes be a little bit shy, and then they do run away and move off into a thicket, which is not ideal. Thought maybe we'd find another one, but we didn't, unfortunately. But it is very warm this afternoon, which means that it's going to be a bit tricky because our animals are not going to be that active. They probably, in all likelihood, are going to spend most of their time in the shade. They're probably going to be sitting, trying to just cool off, so you'll find the cats will be panting a lot, which is basically with their mouth open and breathing very, very fast, whereas a lot of the sort of other animals, like the antelopes, will just be sitting under the trees. Good. Okay, now that Steve is ready for us, let's send you back there, who's, like I say, not only in the migration, but he's got one of the tallest animals that we get out here in Africa.
Yes, well, we have got a Maasai giraffe hiding there in the thickets on top of the hill. It's busy feeding on the leaves of the tree, because when you have a neck as long as a giraffe does, boys and girls, well, it's ideal for reaching high up into the trees to feed on leaves. You don't see giraffe feeding on the ground because, well, they don't feed on grass. They feed on leaves, and that is why they have such a tall, long neck. I'm not sure if this is a male or female. It's quite far away, but the tallest land mammal in the world, getting up to about 18 feet in height. Oh, Kayla, the giraffe itself, you want to know how long a giraffe's neck is? Well, the giraffe itself is about 18 feet in height total. Am I maybe making it up? I think I'm getting it right. 18 feet, and so the neck is probably about half of that. So, yeah, it's about 6 to 9 feet to the sort of shoulder, and then the neck goes further up. So the tallest land mammal in the world. And they don't only reach up high, they can reach pretty low down into the bushes, and they can put their head into the trees as well with that see the very long face? I'm sorry it's not the best shot. We are very... Ooh, he dropped the leaves. He's busy chewing them now. But quite camouflaged. With that long face, they can stick it right into the bushes, and they can also feed quite low down in the bushes where other animals will feed, but not on the grass, just on the leaves. And when it's just out of reach, they stick their tongue out and grab the branches and pull it down to their mouth. Hello Jeremiah, you want to know how much giraffes weigh? Well, a big male giraffe can weigh about, let me work it out for you, about 3,000 pounds or so, plus minus, and females a little bit more. So very, very big animals, very heavy, very big, but not fat at all, just all muscle and bone. Their legs are very, very strong to keep them upright, and there's lots of muscle in the neck to help them to use the neck to hold it up, and also they use that neck for fighting. So 3,000 pounds of muscle really, and bone, no fat, only leaves that they eat. Very, very good diet. But I'm hoping we'll find you some more giraffe. There are lots of giraffe around, but that was the first one we saw, so we thought we'd quickly show it to you, because I know everybody loves to see a giraffe. It is one of those favorite animals that everybody comes to Africa to see. And another animal that people come to Africa to see, my good friend Taylor down in South Africa will show you right now.
Look at this. We're so lucky this afternoon to find a leopard. And he's very, very hot at the moment, as am I. And I'm sure that everybody out on safari today is quite warm. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. So welcome to all of you from Rice Creek. I look forward to getting all your questions. But now, as Steve said, I might be his good friend, but I reckon he's probably better friends with Hosana, because I think Hosana is maybe one of our favorite leopards out here in the Sabi Sand. And you can see he's very, very hot. He's moved a little way away from where we found him this morning. We actually found him on foot while we were doing a bushwalk. And he had a tough time yesterday. Tristan had him, and he caught himself an inyala for dinner, but then he couldn't take it up a tree quick enough. So an inyala is a type of antelope. And then the hyenas came in, and they stole it from him. So now he's gone without dinner. So he's sulking at the moment. He's not very happy with life. But maybe when it cools down a little bit, he'll go off and he'll try and find himself something else to eat. But I've never seen this cat thin before. He's always got a big belly. He's always eating something, whether he's caught it himself or if he's stolen it from somebody else. But he's just really, really trying to keep as cool as he can at the moment. It is so, so, so hot. I don't know why he doesn't go down into one of the dry riverbeds. The temperature is much, much better in there. And then I don't think he'd be panting as much. And also, so that sand will be so nice and cool. He's kind of sitting out in the open at the moment. There's only one spot of shade, and that's where he is sleeping. Maybe he'll move in a little bit. I don't think he'll stay here for too long. You can also hear how windy it is now. So at least the wind is starting to get a little bit cooler, because it was quite hot earlier. So that also might be trying to keep him nice and cool. Right, we'll sit here with Hosana to see what he gets up to. Let's go see where Tristan is now. I know he said he was going checking all the watering holes.
I am indeed, Taylor. So I'm on my way to the next watering hole. The last watering hole we visited didn't have any animals at it yet. The impalas hadn't gotten there yet, and they were just kind of still milling about in the shade. And so we're off to the next one, which is one that is starting to dry up, but it's still holding probably more water than most of our water holes that we have here. So it's a good place for elephants and things like zebra and wildebeest, and sometimes even buffalo, and so hopefully we'll get lucky with something there. It's also where we saw Hosana's dad this morning. So his dad is a leopard called Tingana, and Tingana was there as well this morning. So hopefully he'll be around and we can then see Hosana's dad, and you can see how much bigger Hosana still needs to grow. Even though he looks quite big and he's got a big head and big shoulders, he's still got to grow quite a bit, and he's going to get a lot bigger than what he is now. So we'll try and see if we can find his dad. His dad is sometimes a little bit tricky to find. His dad likes to walk a lot, except when he's got a very full tummy, and I expect him to have a very full tummy today and to be sleeping somewhere close by. There's nothing down that road. It's always important when going on a safari is to look in all directions to see which way things could be, especially when you get to roads, because animals like to use roads, and so it's important to look both ways. Good, now we're going to go through a little spot where our signal gets a little bit funny, so while we do that, let's send you across to Steve, who I think is still wading through the migration.
We are surrounded by wildebeest and zebra, boys and girls. It is such a fantastic place to be. You can see they've all got their heads down on the ground. Unlike the giraffe, these individuals feed on grass. And with the rains that came here between sort of April and sort of July, brought enormous amounts of rain through. It was flooded in these areas, but the grass was enormous, lots of grass, and it caused these animals to come from many miles away to the south in another reserve called the Serengeti, where most of these wildebeest, or all of these wildebeest, had their babies. And there in the middle of the screen, oh, there's a couple, there we go, there's a youngster behind mum, already a few months old, 5-6 months old already, and after being born they will follow mum. So the one on the right is definitely a youngster, one on the left is probably a year old already. They will follow mum all the way through to this area where the grass is very green, and they get nice and fat. Trey, you want to know how much fat a zebra has on its body, and I really don't know. Probably less than a horse, but I think they've got a fair amount of fat. I really have no idea, Trey. But there is some fat in there. Most animals have got fat. A zebra probably a little bit more than most of the other game animals that you find around, but I really don't know. But I've spotted something, James, in the far distance on that tree line that could be something exciting. Now, on that tree line there, punch in right there for me, please, James. No, left, a little bit left. On that tree line there, straight in the middle. Punch straight in there for me. A little bit to the right. You see that white thing on the right? What is that? I saw that with my binoculars. I don't know what it is. It could be a log. Could be a lion lying upside down. What do you think that is, James? That's a log. Okay, well, the camera has got a much better visual or view than my binoculars do, but we've got to look for those things, because it looked like a lion was lying upside down with its belly in the air. But we will be going closer there to make sure, because I've got a feeling it was a lion. James is saying it's not, but his visual on the camera was much better than mine. But anyway, we will go closer. There are lions around, lots of lions in the area, and they do very well this time of year with all the wildebeest coming through. It's impossible to count how many. So many have come through with their babies, and the zebra as well. And it's a time of abundance for the predators. Terracia, a wildebeest, average wildebeest weighs close to about maybe 400 pounds, the biggest wildebeest, but probably between 350 and 400, I would say, maybe 350 and 450 at the most. That's, I'm thinking actually, that is my kilogram mass. Let me double check, because that is an important question, very important question. How much does an adult wildebeest weigh? Okay, yeah. So maximum get up to 500 pounds. Maximum. Females a lot smaller than that, only getting up to about maybe 350 or so. So it is a lot of meat for a lion to catch. And if you can look around, there is a lot of meat all over the place. And all these animals come here for the grass. The grass is energy. The grass takes the energy from the sun, combined with the nutrients from the soil, and then it moves from the zebra and the wildebeest into the lions and into the hyena and then back into the soil again. Jaden, you want to know how much a lion eats a day? Well, that is a very difficult question to answer, because some days they'll eat more than other days, but a male lion in one sitting, they think, people say, can feed on 1/3 of their one-fifth of their body weight. So that means a male lion can feed on about 100 pounds of meat in one go. I don't think that is an accurate number. I think it's close to about 60 pounds, but I've never actually gone and weighed a lion before and after it's eaten. But some days they'll feed lots. Like this time of year, they are feeding and feeding and feeding, and then when the wildebeest and zebra leave again, well, they don't feed on as much then, but they can feed on lots and lots of meat. something over there. What have you got there? What have you got there, James? James has spotted something. I can't quite make out what he's seen. James thought he saw a lion. Do you see a lion, boys and girls? Okay, well, while we follow up and see if we can find out whatever it is that caught James's attention, let's go back down to Taylor, who's already got herself a predator.
Right, now we're still sitting with the young chief over here, who has decided to go completely horizontal now. He's very tired. He's very hot. The flies are annoying him. He's not happy today. He actually seems to be quite grumpy, in fact. So we'll probably just let him lay in the shade and rest after this. And then I think we'll go try and find some elephants. I know Tristan had a very nice herd of elephants from a watering hole that's also drying up, but it's not very far from here. So maybe we get lucky and we get another herd coming to drink. Because I don't think Hosan is in any rush to go and drink some water. I don't think he wants to go into the sun at all. But leopards can sleep for a very, very long time. Hi, Louise. Nathan, I suppose it depends on, well, what the animal is doing. Because typically leopards are quite slow because they don't spend their whole day running around chasing after things. They walk most of the time, or they sleep like this. So the only time you'll really see a leopard running very fast is if it's being chased by lions or maybe another leopard, or if it gets stuck in between a breeding herd of buffalo and it needs to get away. Then you're going to see a leopard run very, very fast. And they can't run anywhere near the speed of a cheetah. And when they're hunting, they also don't need to run very fast either because they get very close to their prey. So they stalk their prey, so they creep as low as they can and get right underneath the feet. So you know how your cat, if any of you have ever seen your cats out hunting trying to catch birds or mice, you see how they creep, and then they pounce into the air and down onto their prey. So leopards do the exact same thing. So they don't need to be very quick. They don't need to run as fast as a cheetah. That's not how they catch their prey. So like I said, the only times I've ever seen cheetah running super fast is when they're scared and they're trying to get away from something. Or maybe it's like, for example, Hosana's father, Tingana. If there's another leopard that comes in here that shouldn't be in here, he'll run as fast as he can to try and chase them out. So you never really see them running that quickly. But he's a little bit in the sun now, you can see. I don't think he'll do that. We'll get up and move. I think he'll probably just flop back down into the shade. But I think we might go and do a quick look for elephants. Right, Tristan has made it to Buffelshoek Dam, and it seems as though he's found one of his friends.
Well, two of them actually, it's not just one. We have two very hot, very lazy hippos that are spending their time in the dam trying to stay as cool as possible. And unfortunately for them, the dam is starting to dry up a little bit, and that means that there's not even enough water to cover these poor hippos' backs. So they'll be waiting, desperately hoping for the rain to come, because it's now that time of the year where we should start to see some rains coming, and when that happens, then hopefully they will be able to at least get some water that will cover their backs. And they need the water as much as possible because their skin, like ours, is very, very easily burnt by the sun. It also means that they dehydrate very badly. It's not good at all when they are exposed to the sun, and so these poor hippos won't be that comfortable at all. They will be hoping that they can at least try and get a bit more water at some point. And what you'll find is that they'll spend their day here like this, and then at night they'll come out and start to go feed. Now, Samuel, what do hippos eat and how do they get their food? Well, they eat grass. So they are a mega herbivore. They go along and they'll eat all kinds of grasses, and what happens is they come out at night and they are big and strong and heavy, and so there's really not too many animals that will try and hunt them. Lions, if they try, get taught a valuable lesson that it's too dangerous to go after these guys, and so what you find is that they can walk around at night and don't actually have to worry about being eaten. And what they do then is they walk with this big mouth, that acts just like a lawnmower blade, and they go from side to side with their head, and they use those big lips to break all little bits of grass, and then they swallow it. And so they'll eat lots and lots of grass in a night, and they'll walk up and down all over the place trying to find enough grass to keep their body going. So they are mostly grass eaters. There has been recorded cases of them investigating meat and putting it in their mouth, but that's not really what their stomach is designed to handle. So they don't eat fish or meat regularly at all. It's normally when they're desperate and they can't find other food, particularly if we're having things like a drought, then you'll find that unfortunately they have to resort to those kind of things. So normally though, it's grass is what they eat. Now what you'll see on the hippo is that the hippo actually has some things with it. It has a bird, and then it has what looks like a little turtle. Now it's not a turtle that you see there, it's something called a terrapin. Terrapins are animals that, like turtles and tortoises, they are of the same family. They have a hard shell and they're able to tuck themselves in. But the difference is that a turtle is an animal that only lives in water, whereas a tortoise is an animal that's only on land. Now a terrapin is in between the two. It's able to be in the water as well as on land, and so it moves up and down between the two, and that's why it's called a terrapin. And this terrapin, what it's doing is sunning itself, because it's still fairly cool in the evenings. Even though we're having hot days, at night it's a little bit cold. And so this guy comes out just because it doesn't have the ability to warm its own body. Like us as mammals, we warm-blooded, and if we need to warm up, we'll shiver and those kind of things. Whereas these guys, they don't have that ability, so they need to use the sun's rays to heat up their blood, and that then makes them active and able to go and find food. But now it looks like our terrapin is even maybe was having a little dance there for a second. It was moving its back leg a little bit. Now you'll find that if the hippo moves, the terrapin will go plop into the water, and that will then swim around and will come back and then climb up onto the hippo itself. And they often are on hippos, one, because of the sun, see its little feet, and two, because they're actually able to feed off the hippos. If the hippos have any parasites like ticks, then these guys will be able to clean the hippos and keep them very, very clean. And the other bird does the exact same thing. That's a red-billed oxpecker. It definitely will help clean these hippos as well, and it will feed off all of the kind of ticks. As well as you see on that hippo, it's got scratches and cuts. Those cuts and scratches, the oxpeckers will actually drink the blood from them and use that as a food source. So pretty interesting. Anyway, we're going to probably carry on. It's just our hippos that are here this afternoon, and so we'll move on. But Taylor has found an animal that I was hoping to find here, and I hope that you enjoy.
Look, it's an elephant. And he's not down drinking at Twin Dams. It looks like he's already had a mud bath. Look how he's completely covered himself in mud. I'm so jealous of this elephant. I wish I could do what he's been doing all day long. Now, this is a big male elephant, so this is a boy. He actually still looks like he's got a bit of growing to do. His legs are longer and a bit out of proportion for the rest of his body. They can get really, really big. Now, we're just watching where he's going, because he's walking around like he's the boss of Africa. Well, I suppose he is the boss of Africa, so it's very important that we give him space. Shall we? Let's see. I don't think we can go on this road. I was hoping he was going to go down here and maybe go look for some fresh water. See, elephants like to drink very clean water. I think if they could, they would have bottled water. That would be their favorite. But they don't have any bottled water out here, so they often go and dig in the riverbed just behind us, and they don't have to dig for very long, and then lovely fresh water comes up. I don't know if he's going to chase the water. Naughty boy. That's not very... She can see another big elephant. Is it, my friend? I have an elephant that I've been seeing for the last 3 years, and I haven't seen him for a while. And there's a big elephant bull in the distance now. Shall we go around? Yeah. I think there's... Let's go maybe on the fire break, and I'm wondering if it's him. It's got the same tusks. Oh, there's a couple of them. So this is what we call a bachelor herd. So that basically means that it's just a group of boys. Hello, warthogs. I'm very sorry that you got chased around by that elephant. That was not very nice. Oh, they're nice, relaxed warthogs for a change. Normally they also run away so quickly. But they've also been wallowing in the mud. Now, Jaden, it's very important that elephants have big ears. and they actually use that to try and keep themselves nice and cool. So it's a bit hard to see now, but at the back of their ears you can actually see all the veins, and because the skin is really, really thin on an elephant's ear, if they keep them open with the wind, remember we were talking about the wind blowing and keeping animals cool, and also if they flap them, they create cool air, and then that will basically cool the blood down. So it's like a radiator in a car, trying to keep everything, all the parts of the engine nice and cool. You can see he's glistening now from all of that. I'm trying to think how we can see these elephants a little bit better. You know what, Seb, I think they might be at the old elephant carcass. I'm going to jump onto an old road because there was an elephant that unfortunately got killed by another bigger elephant. That's what happens out here. It's very hard life for these animals. And then, so he died, and then lots of different animals came and ate it. All of him, so he wasn't wasted. But now I think they're at the bones. Let's go see. Mrs. Hyatt, now elephants live for quite a long time. They can live up to about 70 years, normally between about 50 and 70 years or so. Let's go this way around. Here they are, having a look at the bones. So, you wouldn't want to keep an elephant because it could outlive you. Look at all these bones here now. This is so cool. It's kind of like a graveyard. So they all come here and see what's going on. Oh, that was rude. That elephant just threw a stick at a bird. This is not a very nice group of elephants. They're a bunch of bullies this afternoon, chasing the warthogs around, throwing, look. He might be throwing them at us. Oh my goodness, please don't pick that one up. This is going to be terrifying if he throws that at us. Seb, are you ready to catch? I might have to get out and stand on the front of the car and catch this piece of bone if he throws that at us. That was very naughty. Let's see, he's got another one. Yeah. That's rude, elephant. You don't even know me. And now you're throwing bones at me. Shame. Oh, he's blowing up the dust. He's very unimpressed. But this is normal for elephant bulls. They're never the happiest of creatures. They can be quite grumpy. Now he's done throwing bones at us. And he's giving a side-eye at a big truck that just drove past on one of the main roads too. But these two boys are much bigger than the fella behind us. Now I'm probably not going to go any more off-road. Just we were on an old track here, and I thought that would be very cool to come and look at this elephant carcass, but we will have to move away from here now, seeing as though these boys are on the go. They might end up at another dam a little bit later called Treehouse Dam. There they go. Very cool. Wow. Now, you've seen a leopard, you've seen a hippo, you've got the elephants. And I'm going to send you back to Kenya and to the Mara Triangle with Steve, who's finally got a lion.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Well, from the distance, I had spotted what we thought, well, what James thought was a log and I thought was a lion, and now we've come in and it looks like I've won the bet. We have found a small pride of lions, with that one there being a big male lion, and then there's two others just up ahead. The one on the right, you can have a look at it now. Look at the size of that belly. Now, that looks like it's quite full, doesn't it, boys and girls? And you're asking, how much food can a lion eat? Well, they can eat more than that. Sometimes the belly stands up far higher than the shoulder and the hip. Right now it's standing up the same sort of height, but I've seen it to the point where they can't even lie down or they can't move. They're just completely on their back with belly, just this huge ball in their tummy. It's really, really crazy to see. And you might ask, why exactly do lions eat so much? It's because they have they want to get as much in as they can, because there's big competition out here between other lions and hyena. And so they want to eat as quickly as they can. And it's also competition with each other. When lions are feeding, when they're fighting over the kill, they often fight and beat each other up, especially if there's a male. They really do dominate. Kia, you want to know if they fight, and they most certainly do. In a pride, you will get generally a pride is made up of mothers, sisters with daughters, and then you get a few males that come and go. But the males generally are more sort of aggressive when it comes to feeding, and often steal a lot of the food that the females have. And it's not really fair, because the males are far bigger than the females, far bigger in weight and strength. So females often just leave the food and just go and catch something else. When there's just 3 of them like this, there's a good chance though that he's got his head up. He's got a nice scar on the eye there, James. Oh, he's got his head down again. The world, it's not quite ready for him to wake up yet. And he's also quite full. You can see he's not extremely full, but he's probably got a small child's worth of meat in there. So yes, they do fight, and you see the mane of hair around his neck, around his head. All that fur there is to protect the males when they fight. When they fight, they want to protect their throat, because you know how vulnerable your throat can be. If you cut someone's animal's throat, they end up bleeding and they could die. So that is there to protect. You want to know, Elijah and Anthony, how fast a lion is? Well, at a charging speed, a lion can move at about 42 miles an hour. So that's about 21 feet a second, which is pretty quick. But they only do that over a very short distance. And once they have been spotted, or once an animal gets out of maybe a 30 to 40 yard distance from the lion, well, then they give up. They're not hunting or chasing down specialists. Their whole objective is to get very, very close, very camouflaged. And their colour is actually quite well camouflaged in the long grass. And so they get nice and close. His head's up again, James. He's got a scar there. Sorry. Oh, he doesn't want to show us. He's got a very nasty scar on his eye. It actually looks like it might be quite fresh. Might be quite fresh. Well, I'm not 100% sure who these lions are. We're going to have to do some investigation and get looks at their faces. It could be the Sausage Tree Pride, but I've never seen them myself. There he is. There he is. Look at that scar on the eye. Andrea, you want to know how lions stay away from predators? Well, lions are what we call the apex predator, which means they're top of the food chain. So by staying in a pride together with a lot of other lions, well, they can outcompete hyena. But if hyena come in lots and lots of numbers, well, they often will chase lions off. But either party doesn't want to really get too involved in confrontation, because if hyenas gang up on a lion and bite it very badly, you could injure the lion, and the lion could end up not surviving, because they need to be able to walk to hunt, and the same for hyenas. So it's a constant battle between the two of them. But the biggest rival really to lions is other lions, because they are big and strong. And when you have a single male like this on his own, well, he's probably got some brothers elsewhere, and they will band together to fight against other big male lions. And they do that to basically make a territory so that they can find the ladies within that territory, and then they can have babies. That is the whole objective. Okay, so indeed we have confirmed that this is the Sausage Tree Pride, and that male with the scar on his face, his name is Kapuli, and I am not quite sure what it means. James, do you know what Kapuli means? Say again? Oh, so it's like having a nose ring, Kapuli, having a nose ring, which is very interesting, because he's got a scar on the nose. I didn't notice it before. It's my first time seeing him live. I have been down in South Africa for most of the year, and there we go, he's up. He's showing us his nose ring, James. He's going to quickly, there it is. Oh, it's too much effort, boys and girls, for him. Well, we're going to stay with them for some time, and I'm sure at some point they're probably going to get up and do something, even if it is just a little bit of stretching. But for now, they are lying flat in the grass, doing exactly what lions do, because the life of a lion, really, boys and girls, means they get to sleep all day long. Doesn't that sound fantastic? Doesn't that sound fantastic, being able to just sleep all day? Well, they need to sleep all day, because when they've got a belly full of meat, can you imagine having 60 pounds of meat in your tummy? I can't imagine that. You just lie there and digest. Lauren, you want to know how many teeth a lion has? All lions have got the same amount of teeth, and for some reason it has slipped my mind. I do know the answer. I cannot remember. I cannot remember off the top of my head. I think it's 54 teeth, 52 teeth, but I'm going to have to double check, in fact, because I'm not 100% correct and I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So maybe Louise in FC can quickly tell me if she can remember how many teeth a lion has got. Oh, 50 is very large. I'm thinking of a crocodile. Sorry, it is 32 teeth, boys and girls. Thank you very much, Louise, for answering that. And we've got a very nice picture of this female in front of us. Oh, every time we want to move to one, there we go. He's up. Hey, look at that scar on his eye. He is a pretty boy, isn't he? You can see the cuts on his nose there. Ooh, it looks like quite a fresh wound on his eye there. It's dripping blood. Oh my word. He has been in a fight, boys and girls. I don't think his eye is too badly injured, but there is a huge bruise underneath. And can you see that wound underneath the eye? It's dripping blood. Now, that could have happened when they were feeding. When lions eat, they get very, very, very aggressive over the food. Or it could have happened with a confrontation with another big male. So if that's what Kapuli looks like, I'd hate to see what the other male looks like. Because lions, male lions, they will kill each other if they can. I know it sounds quite dramatic, boys and girls, but this is their livelihood. A male lion does everything they possibly can to look after territory and to look after females. And when he can't do that anymore, well, he kind of goes downhill and then is eventually ousted and will not have a territory and will eventually just die. So while they are strong, they hold their territory, they hold on to the females. And in this wilderness, anything can happen between lions and between hyena. It is, who knows what could happen. It is amazing to be out here, to be able to witness this, but this is invariably what you see a lot of the time with lions, just lying down and sleeping. But we like to spend time with them. We've been looking for these guys for the last 3 hours, and finally our searching has paid off. But you saw how far away we were when I spotted that lion on the hill. When I spotted on the hill, so that's what we do. We look from a distance. You look for the shady trees. You look for just that little change in the coloration. And, well, one log turned into 3 lions. I'm very happy about that. Very happy about that, because I have been here for, I think this is my 4th day, and I haven't been able to find the sausage tree pride, but we haven't come this far south yet. So it's very nice to have found them. We found other male lions last night called the Triangle Boys, which are further to the sort of east, and we saw 2 of them, big, beautiful males. I don't think they were responsible for the scar on Kapuli's face. We're very far south from where they are. But the dynamics and what's going on in these areas with other lions, well, who knows? There's other prides in the area, there's males moving through, and every single night after the sun sets, the lions get up, they move around, they call, they shout themselves to the wilderness. As I mentioned before, they are catching as many prey animals as they can, getting nice and fat. But at the same time, because the animals are here, other male lions are probably trying to move in to come and get the food. So Kapuli has got his hands full trying to compete with any of the other males that are coming through. And so I am sure it is not going to be his last battle. There will be lots and lots of more battles to come. But for now, he is just going to rest. And what's very interesting is you see that wound on his face. It looks quite bad for now, but it's incredible how these animals can heal themselves. And whenever they get an injury, they do a lot of licking. So you've probably seen domestic cats back home licking their paws and then wiping their face. Well, lions will do the same thing after they've eaten. They've got lots of food and blood on the face. They'll do that with the wounds as well. And their saliva has actually got sort of like an antibiotic sort of cream cream within it, would you say, and sort of cleans the wound. And you'll often find other lions licking each other's faces as well. Raymond, you want to know how loud a lion's roar is? Well, I can't actually tell you in the decibel range, but it's very loud, and when we're this close, the whole vehicle shakes. It goes right through your body, right through your soul, and it is the most amazing feeling to have, or to be this close and hearing lions roar. I can't tell you how loud, but probably if you had a very loud speaker and you put it on to about 80. I hope that answers your question. It's not the best answer, Raymond. I would love to play one for you on my speaker, but I don't have a speaker with me right now, and to play a lion call right now wouldn't be very good, because what it would do is it will actually encourage these lions to, because suddenly they'd hear a lion calling right here close to them, and well, that's not very ethical. Well, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I hope you have learned lots and lots and lots. We were so excited to show you leopards, elephants playing around with sticks, and also the sausage tree pride lying down flat in the grass. We hope to have you on the show again soon, as she is going to now lick herself once, and she's going to say goodbye from the sausage tree pride, from us here at SafariLive. Have a fantastic afternoon. And on that note, we're going to go back over to South Africa and my good friend Tristan.
Well, yes, it is back to us, and to start our normal, regular show with all of our regular viewers, and, well, maybe some new ones that have joined us for our afternoon safari, and it is a warm welcome to all of you. We are looking at some dirt, and not just dirt, but evidence left behind by the Duke of Djuma Tingana. So he's moved from his last spot, crossed the road, and has gone into this little thicket here, which we'll try and see if we can find him. It's going to be a little tricky, because he's going up that path, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't gone too far. Pretty sure he's found himself a spot just to kind of have a bit of a rest. But if you have joined us for the very first time and you're not sure how this all works, well, we are out and about in the middle of Kenya and South Africa, and we are live, which means that you are able to ask lots and lots of questions, and you're able to talk to us. And so my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Craig, and basically how you talk to us is that you use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you use @FC in the YouTube chat, and you just need to keep your questions relevant to what you're seeing on the screen, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. Good. Excellent. Right. Now let's see if we can find the sausage. So Tingana, well, I mean, he was agitated this morning, and he was up and down and all over the place, and so I'm pretty sure that he's somewhere around. He got chased by elephants. That's why he is not where we left him. The elephants went underneath there, and we thought that might happen given that the Ellies were walking in that direction, and so I'm sure he's just found himself a nice spot to rest. So Mohammed, who is a new viewer, welcome Mohammed to SafariLive. I hope that you will enjoy yourself, and that you will enjoy our daily game drives that we do twice a day. And we are in South Africa, in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which is part of the Greater Kruger National Park. It borders the Kruger National Park on the western side, and is pretty much about sort of south to center, kind of between the center and the south of the Kruger National Park area, and like I say, on the western side. And so it is a part of the whole ecosystem, which is very, very nice, and it is an area that is synonymous with incredible game viewing, in particular leopard. Leopard is one of the specialities of this particular reserve, and it's why we spend so much time with them, Mohammed. So, you know, we're hoping that we will find this leopard that we're trying to track at the moment. We're going to try and see if we can find him. The tracks that I showed you just now are very obscure and very difficult to see. Not easy at all, because there's been a number of impalas that have also walked around at the same time, and that's made it a little bit tricky to actually see the track. Now at this stage, I don't think, I'll be very surprised, put it that way, if he's come out of where we've just kind of come from. I would be very surprised if he carried on walking very, very far. I'm pretty sure that he's just on that pathway somewhere and just found himself a nice shady spot to lie down. So if I don't get anything after driving around the block, then I'll come back there and just go and check on that path, and maybe we'll get lucky and find him. In the meantime though, let's send you across to Taylor, who's had all the luck this afternoon, and see what she's up to and where she's heading to next.
No, we haven't had the luck. Sorry, I'm just listening to a go-away bird. So, after the elephants, Taxon... He just turned Tristan's voice down. I said to Taxon, who's one of the guides for Juma, I told him that Hosana was obviously laying where he was laying. He's gone now. And we saw fresh tracks in the Mulwati as we were going back up towards him, and I was like, what's going on? I couldn't work out what had happened. So he's walked down through the Mulwati. I have no idea where he's gone now, though. So we're just trying to find him. He's obviously hot and bothered. So we're just scanning up and down. Here we go. Here comes the afternoon chatter on the radio. Okay. Let's keep... I'm just going to check very carefully because his tracks are just around the corner. I wonder if he hasn't just gone in here. I think that's probably where he has gone. We checked Twin Dams again, but he hasn't gone down there to drink. Unless he's still on his way and he's maybe just walking in between the roads, which would make it very difficult for us to spot him. No. Oh, bizarre. Well, not really. I don't think he was particularly comfortable there. It isn't fun being out in the sun. We're trying to do everything we possibly can. What is that? Is that a bokmakiri? That yellow bird up here? Can you see it? There. What is that? Yes, that one. Whatever that is. They're my binoculars because if that's a book. Sorry everybody, give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to look. Do you? Is it yellow?
Yeah, there is yellow on it.
Where is he? I can't see it now.
Behind that branch. It's going to move now. It's framed.
I'm just checking. I don't know if we are looking at the same bird now. Or is it an orange-breasted bushrack? Oh no, I think it's an orange-breasted bushrack. Was it grey? Oh, got excited for a second there. Wow, my heart started fluttering because I know that there have been 1 or 2 reports of bokmakiri seen in this area, but very, very rare. And all I saw when it hopped was the bright yellow, and I didn't see any orange at all. But a very cool bird to see anyway. Very, very nice. I'm also just having a little look with my binoculars. Very cool. Oh, I got so excited there. I literally thought my heart was about to jump out of my chest, but it didn't. Okay, Hosana, where are you? I think he's probably gone on to Mamba. See, here's his tracks. This is him now. I think he has. I think he's, I'm not going to get out, but he's walked, I think he's probably gone up. Let's go on to Mamba quickly, because we would have seen him now. We've just come past, we've driven very slowly, but no luck. Okay, we're going to carry on, relocate on Hosana. I have no idea. It's not Tree Pride. Let's go see what.
Well, thanks very much, Taylor. Good luck finding the little chief. Hello, everybody. We are, as you know, with the Sausage Tree Pride and the male lion, who I believe is Kupuli. James is disagreeing, but I'm not 100% sure. I've never seen him before. He's got a very bad wound on his eye, which is really, really seeping some blood there. It looks rather uncomfortable for him. We were in a good spot. He's now moved his head. So I'm just going to try and roll back slightly in a second. Look at that wound there, just behind the grass. And I no doubt there's flies landing on it constantly. Really swollen eye. I don't know what could have happened there. A claw. I don't think it was from an animal. I mean, I don't know if that is what a hoof would do to someone's eye. Probably blacken an eye, but I don't know if it would make such a gouge in it like that. Very hard to say. James, let me move forward just half a foot and maybe get around this little patch of grass that is holding his, keeping in his face. There we go. Is that better? Marcy, you say it's Kapuli for sure. Well, thank you for clarifying that with us. We haven't had... Oh, that is a hole in his face there. It really is a nasty looking wound. But don't worry, I'm sure he'll be fine. I've seen lions with much worse injuries. You've all seen the one Nkuhuma female with that enormous hole on her back hip that, well, was really, really bad and disgusting. So that at least doesn't look very comfortable. But anyway, he's looking quite healthy, quite fit, quite strong. Doesn't look as full as the ladies do, which means he probably found them after they'd killed something and eaten a lot of it, and then he probably gorged himself silly on the rest. There's a time of plenty out here in the Mara, and considering the amount of animals we've seen today compared to the number of lions, there is plenty to go around for everybody. And the vultures are gorging themselves as well. We saw lots and lots of vultures today. Every single tree you pretty much go past has got a few vultures perched in. Hello, Magic Dragon Wizard. You want to know if I could guesstimate the injury healing process on his face? Well, I really don't know. It's still bleeding, still seeping there. So a couple of weeks maybe to sort of really heal up, but the swelling, just for the swelling to come down, a couple of days maybe for the bleeding to stop. Really difficult to say. I've seen really bad injuries that have healed quite quickly with the saliva. But it also depends on the part of the body that the injury is on, because if there's movement on that part of the body, then it generally doesn't heal as quickly because of the movement. It opens and closes the scab. So it's really hard to say, but I'd say a couple of weeks to sort of get a little bit better, and then to be fully healed probably about a month. But that is a guesstimation, Magic Dragon Wizard. I'll be able to tell you, because I will be coming back to the Mara after my 3-week stint here. I'm going home after 3 weeks and then coming back again, but I will keep an eye on Kapuli's eye and see exactly how long it takes for that wound to heal. I'm guessing a few days ago, when you last saw him, he didn't have the wound. If he did, well, it has been bleeding since then. Anyway, Tristan is on the search once again for the Duke of Djuma. Let's go and see how he's getting on.
We're still just trying to complete the block at the moment, so we're just going around, making sure that we're checking everywhere to see if he hasn't come out. So far, no sign of him coming out. Thought I saw maybe another track there, but it's not. Wait, what's this? Those are tracks for Tundi. These are tracks for Tundi going into Torchwood area. Okay, I wonder... There's only one vehicle's driven on top of them. So I thought I saw a track for a leopard here, but they have been driven over, that's for sure. So Tundi must have gone past Buffelshoek Dam this morning and carried on, but she's not with Tlalamba here. It looks like just her by herself. So I wonder. Wonder how she sneaked past and we didn't notice. I suppose we were busy with Tingana this morning. Might explain why Tingana moved this way. So Romit, no news on why Tingana was being the way he was. It was strange this morning. We drove around, didn't find any tracks. I mean, maybe there's something just inside Buffelshoek that we can't see, and you know, once you climb a tree, it makes it a lot easier. Hang on a second, there's just tracks for leopards all over the place here. So there's a track here where she's turned. I can't actually get round to actually show it to you, but it looks like she was kind of sitting on the road a little bit. Maybe this is where her and Tlalamba were playing still. I'll try and get round this side. Craig, can you see it there? It's a difficult angle for poor Craig, but there in the right side of the road in the tyre track, which is on top of the tyre track, I think maybe that one tyre track on the right might be over it, so it might be the one set that I saw. But there's her kind of footprints in there, and they're going all over the place. So I don't know quite what's going on here. Definitely I didn't drive here this morning, but there was a vehicle that came from this way, and so I wonder if she hasn't crossed into Torchwood with Tlalamba. Interesting. Tingana certainly hasn't walked here, so we'll just double check, and definitely these tracks go to Torchwood, where the first track I saw was not even 50 meters from the boundary, so she would have crossed over for sure into Torchwood itself, which is not ideal, but she might have left Kalamba this side and was going to come back and fetch her late this afternoon. You never know. It's a good omen. And Tingana might be sniffing around for her. He stopped every now and then and was sniffing to this morning, so could be, and he was sawing quite a bit, but why he was so shy and so skittish all of a sudden out of that tree, I have absolutely no idea. And why he hasn't gone back to that carcass. I went back there this afternoon, and it's not like there isn't meat there. There definitely is still a rib cage, there's legs, which are all kind of part of... Okay, so he's come out here. So it looks like he's also tracking down Thandi. Man. Alright, so his tracks are also here. You can see them in the tire track, on top of the tire track. And come down, come down, come down. No, that's the hyena, I think. Come back out again for me. Sorry, Craig. I'm just trying to see where's the best one. There it is. So, over here. There it is. That's Tingana's track right there. Much bigger than the Thandi track that we were looking at. So he seems to have come out of this block and is maybe walking on top of Thandi's tracks, trying to track her down. So I'm going to have to just get out here and have a little look at what's going on. But definitely he's been here, and it looks like hyenas followed him as he went. And these are quite good tracks. They're on top of all of the vehicle tracks. I can actually see further down the road where he's come out across that kind of sandy section. There's some big tracks that are kind of cutting that dragged area. So definitely Tingana has moved from where I thought he would be. I thought he had kind of slipped, but this is the reason why we do a block like this, to try and just double check whether or not he has come out, and so he has. So we'll just try and figure out where he's gone from here, and while we do that, let's send you back to the Mara, to Steve. I have no idea what he's doing, but apparently he's probably somewhere in the Mara driving around.
Thank you very much, Tristan. Good luck finding the Duke. Well, the lioness has been very active. She went from one side to the other, and now she's still flat. She hasn't moved very far. She just rolled over. Very beautiful lioness indeed. Very, very, very pretty. I took a few photos of the pride and the dynamics in camp, and I can't really get too much of a look at the face of them though, so it'll take me a few days, I reckon, with them to figure out exactly who they are. I know for a fact Hinky Tail is not here. She is still off on a little romance with one of the old Nanya Payak males, which is a romance that's going on for quite a while actually. Normally lions mate for 3 to 4 days. She's been mating since last weekend, which is it's a long time. Very long time, in fact. Don't forget, folks, this is an interactive safari. Please send through your questions, so hashtag SafariLive, or drop them on the YouTube stream. Hello, Mohammed. That's a very interesting question. Well, in natural conditions, lions don't necessarily even think about going for elephant, but if a young elephant got isolated and away from the herd, they would definitely go for it if they could get it away from mum, or if it was on its own. But in very, very unnatural conditions, or where climate change or overgrazing or elephant population growth has changed the environment and forced other animals to move out, normal natural prey for lions, for example in Savuti in northern Botswana, then there the lion prides band together into prides of 35 and 40, and they do hunt elephant. It's a very scary thought. Can you imagine being around in the pitch darkness trying to film lions hunting an elephant? An elephant can go in any direction, and under stress it would easily knock your car over. 35 to 40 lions that are hungry, well, I'm not quite sure what would go on, but that is quite a frightening thing. I've seen some documentaries on people filming that with their infrared, and I think those cameramen really had a very difficult time. So it does happen, but under natural conditions, buffalo is about as big a prey item that lion generally go for. But every now and again a hippo will be taken, as well as rhino and elephant, but that's very opportunistic situations and circumstances. Big animals like that really do pack a very powerful punch, and an animal like a puli would have more than just a bloodied eye if a rhino or an elephant got upset with him. the weight class is just way too difficult or different. But the nature of lion prides, they've evolved to be as big as they are individual wise, and then they band together into units to take down larger prey. But generally, as I say, they restrict themselves to buffalo, zebra, wildebeest and giraffe, being the largest on the spectrum, and then every now and again they'll take the smaller individuals which don't go as far as a larger animal. But with large prey comes large sacrifice, and so invariably an individual can be killed. You do see lions getting killed all the time. It's not always the predators that win on the day. Francis, most certainly his eye injury can affect his visual a little bit. Just like you having a closed eye, maybe if someone got punched in the eye, a bit more difficult for you to play a contact sport game if you can only see out of one eye. So it could affect him, but due to the fact that he is following females around, he could capitalize on the fact that he could still assist in the hunting. He might not have the same coordination. For example, if you go and close one eye and get your friend to throw something to you, it's very difficult to catch because you aren't able to gauge sort of depth. So it will definitely affect his depth. But a male lion running towards a herd of animals will scare the life out of them and assist the females in catching them, and he will capitalize on what the females can take down. But they are very versatile, and he can probably see through a little crack in the eye there. We saw the Anderson male down in the Sabi Sands with what everyone thought his eye had been ripped from his eye socket, but in fact it was just a claw had gone in and damaged his eye quite badly, or the area around his eye quite badly, but he was still hunting. So these animals are very resilient. They might not be as successful on the day, but maybe their 20% will go down to 18% success rate, but still hunt. They're still very, very good at what they do, but hence why they're in a pride with some ladies. The ladies will help him out, and that's one of the benefits of being in a pride, is if an individual gets injured, like that Nkuhuma pride female with that bad hip, she got injured, she can follow the pride around and she will actually capitalize on what they're able to pull down. Leopards, cheetah, when they get injured, well, they don't have the luxury of having someone feeding them. So back over to these individuals that are still very flat. I don't think there's going to be any hunting in the too near future, but they're not looking as full as they originally did. As she's moved, maybe she was on a bit of a log, a rock there. I don't know why I hear your comms there, James, but mine did not come through there. Okay, well, James has just fed it through to me. We're going to stay with these lions for a little bit longer, and in the meantime, let's go see how Tristan's getting on with this search.
Hello, everybody. No, just where's my beard exactly, Sebastian? Where is I shaved today? I did a quick shave now while we were on safari, and then I also dyed my hair blonde. And I thought I won't speak with such a deep voice anymore. No, I'm Taylor, but you know, Tristan Taylor, it's very easy to get the two of us confused. So Hosanna has just vanished. Gone. Disappeared into thin air. Taxon and I are just doing loops around and around, trying to see if we can find him. He's probably just gone further into the thicket and plopped down in the shade somewhere. It seems like he might be on his way towards Treehouse Dam, so I think we'll just go round and round until something hopefully pops up. Also, Wendy is making the most delightful sounds today. She sounds like a dinosaur. What's going on here? Why are there so many of you? Why are there so many of you, Hornbill? Acting very suspicious. The rest of them flew off quickly and pretended like they weren't doing anything. Now we've just got two. These ones, I think they're eating termites. That would be my guess as to why so many of them were down on the ground. What have they got? Hard to see. It's like, obviously they're eating something very small. Oh, look at their feet. There are termites running around its feet. There they all are. Or they're ants. Woo! They're trying to bite it. Look. I'm actually not sure if they're ants or termites. Can someone help me? There's so much glare. It's a bit difficult to see. They're moving pretty quick, so maybe they're ants. Yeah. rather large ants. But anyways, look how they're running around, attacking the bird as well. Look, one's up its leg. Not very happy that their nest has been raided, and I'm sure they'll pack a serious bite. I'm quite interested to see what ants they are. They're really big. They're like big like the siafu ants. He's like, you can't fight me, I'm going to eat you all. So those will be the soldiers running around, trying their absolute best to protect the mound. It doesn't look like they're doing a very good job. There don't seem to be too much of a deterrent from that hornbill. Perhaps it's been around for many years and is now used to the pain that those ants will bring. Although they've got fairly tough legs. Because every now and then it lifts its foot up like, you know, it's a bit annoyed. But I mean, it's obviously not being too bothered by them. That's amazing. Look at them. They're all climbing all around. They're very upset though. Look how fast they go. Now, I don't know why these ants are not just trying to hide away. Lisa, you've said that the hornbills are your favorite birds. They also, I enjoy watching them. They're very comical. And they're always up to almost no good. And apparently can decimate populations of ants and termites. But don't worry, the queen will produce a whole bunch of eggs after a couple of these ants have been devoured. So all will be good again. Very busy though. I just can't believe how big they are. I haven't seen big ants like that here for quite some time. And it's so hard to see. And they're cocking their tail quite a bit, but they're too big to be cocktail ants. They're normally very small and black in colour. Maybe you get another kind of species, or perhaps this is just they do that when they're agitated. Because you're getting them all, aren't you? You're trying to actually crush them and swallow them. Gremlins, I don't think that hornbills are related to toucans at all. I'm not actually sure, obviously. Oh, wow, now look. Look at all the... They are ants. They're obviously living there. Goodness, there's so many of them. I've never seen a toucan... Well, I've seen a toucan like a bird park before. But I don't think that they are related. You get hornbills all over the world. And they're in a separate family, as far as I'm aware. And you get hornbills in Asia, all over. I wonder if you get any in South America. I'm sure you must get a type of hornbill. That one ant is stuck on the bottom part of its beak. What it was. Or was that just dung? No, it might just be dung now. I can't believe it's not bothered by them. That's amazing. You're going to be so full. Such a great afternoon, or should we call it high tea? Oh, hopping away. Still chasing after them. Jessie, I'm sure there will be some types of insects. So insects that are typically brightly coloured, we call that aposematic coloration. So that's normally warning colours. And then you'll find birds and other insects avoiding them because they've learnt that those bright colours mean that they have a toxin of sorts, so they'll be poisonous. So they don't really want to sort of eat them. So that's why you don't see many birds eating. They're obviously brightly coloured. They've got very dramatic colours with the orange, black and white. And yeah, they are fairly toxic. So they'll try and avoid eating those. So that's of course learned. But then the insects have got clever. And there's some kinds of mimicry where there are a variety of bugs and things like that that aren't actually even toxic, but they over the years, over many years, have picked up that, okay, cool, well, we can just pretend to be that animal, then they sort of leave us alone. I'm sure young, inexperienced birds and things have to learn the hard way, but they will typically leave me alone. I've killed about 4 flies today. I'm so proud of myself. I've really got good at swatting them. There's so many. I'm going to start collecting them so I can show you. I can throw them out at a hornbill sighting. No, I'm only joking. We don't feed the birds. Yeah, I will feed them to the hornbills. Right, we'll let these 2 yellow-billed hornbills devour an entire colony of ants in peace. Off you go, back to Tristan, who is still on the search for Tingana.
Yep, we're still looking around. Unfortunately, there's just tracks going in every direction for 3 different leopards at the moment, and so just trying to work out exactly where he's gone. I just want to double check cheetah cut line just to see how many of them have crossed out into Torchwood. I suspect it's more than just the one. I think Mfakazi's probably gone over, which we thought this morning, given his track was on the fire break already going east, and I would just want to double check that Tingana and Tandi haven't also gone out as well, but I suspect that all 3 of them may have done so and might be inside Torchwood already, which is a bit of a shame, because I was hoping that one of them, well, particularly Tingana, was just going to lie up for the day and just rest, and then, you know, start to kind of head back towards that kill as sunset was around. I'm very surprised at him leaving that kill there. Like I said, it's not like it's got no meat on it. There is still the ribs, there's still legs, there's still a bit of the neck on there that have still got meat on it, and he was feeding happily away this morning and all of a sudden just got frightened and moved off, and what that was all about I absolutely have no idea. Right, now you know, it's not really a massive influx of leopards. It's pretty much what we've been seeing, I mean, over the years, if you think about it. You know, last year we just, instead of having that skittish female around, we would have had Shadow, and we had, you know, before that Karula was around, and it was just, I suppose now we've had a territorial female disappear, so that's one male track that's gone over there. So we've had a territorial female disappear in the form of Karula. That then brought in Shadow and Tandi, which made more of an appearance in this area. And other than that, you know, transient males are pretty regular through these areas. We've also got a couple of young males that are hanging about at the moment, so we don't have an influx of leopards at all. It's dry season, which generally dictates that leopards will sometimes move out of their comfort zones for water and food if the area that they're in is not ideal. And so most winters you see good numbers of leopard pretty much, you know, most years. Like I say, last year we had Tamba, Hosana, Tingana, we ended up having Tandi, Shadow, Shadulu started a little bit towards the end of last winter, but I suppose more beginning of this year than anything else. You know, so it was still the same real number of leopards. It's just that we've got 1 or 2 newcomers now, and that's pretty typical given the time of the year and what actually goes on. Now I see there's a car in front here. Is this Taylor that's in front? No, I don't think so. I think it's not Taylor, so it's just somebody that's in front. Anyway, we'll chat to them and see what they've seen. In the meantime, though, let's send you back to Steve and see how he's getting along. Hopefully he's having a lot more luck than what we are this afternoon.
We do have a gorgeous view. The lions are doing absolutely nothing at the moment, so we turned the car around to see if we could get a better vantage point and look at the beautiful vista we have in front of us there, with the Olololo mountain range to the distance and those little speckles of light coming through. If you've ever been to Florence or know anything about the Renaissance, you'll know that the light coming through the clouds is depicted often like that in Renaissance painting as the fingers of God. I've seen a couple of paintings when I was in Florence many years ago, and really are spectacular to see and to be out here in Africa. And this is where we come from. This is where humanity as we know it originates. You might disagree with me. There's a lot of scientific evidence these days to prove that the origin of man came from somewhere around East Africa, and we evolved on this continent with the lions, with the wildebeest, with the wildlife. There's records of human existence in these areas more than 3.6 million years ago. Tracks in the mud of a very small hominid-like person, fossilized tracks of a 2 bipedal walking human. Wasn't a Homo sapien, or something quite similar though, before our time. And look where we are today, driving vehicles, using internet and inventing things that are completely boggles the mind. None of that which concerns these lions, as you can see. They're just going to lie there And the temperatures have dropped drastically since that rainfall event happened, and quite nice, in fact, because it was a very nice warm 29 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Yesterday was 1 degree warmer, but thankfully it wasn't a proper downpour. We just got all the canopies down and boxed ourselves in, and then it disappeared. Just enough of a spattering to just give the grass maybe a slight little flush. I'd thought maybe it would have caused the lions to maybe get a little bit active. But before we leave, no doubt, just 5 minutes before show end, I'm sure the lions will get up and do something. Yes, well, it is very dry down in Djuma, so it was so nice to smell the rains. Hello, JK. Very interesting question with regards to zebra. There's a lot of sort of ideas behind the zebra's sort of stripes, and one of the things is that they blend in together as a unit, and it's kind of a dazzling effect, an optical illusion, if you will. Like if you've ever taken looked or you filmed a TV screen, you get those sort of bars that move across the screen. That's kind of what happens to zebras when they move in one unit. Because the spots and the stripes and the body kind of all blend together. You get this entire mass of zebra moving as one, and they reckon it's a confusing effect as the zebra bodies sort of move together. And what it also does is that the adult's belly is about that high off the ground with the legs, and the youngster's belly is the same height. So the youngster in front of the adult actually blends in. So what we know about predators is they develop search images for prey animals. They don't necessarily see depth. They see sort of like a shape, and they'll go for that shape. And if they can pick out a youngster within the herd, they will always go for the youngster. Most predators will do that. But if the youngster sort of against the adult's body, because, for example, the belly will be the same height, but the back won't be as high. But because it's against the mum, it kind of blends in, so it makes it much more difficult for the lion or the leopard or whoever to pick them out. It doesn't always work, but it is that dazzling effect that they so expect. But they don't blend in to the environment as well as these lions do. As you can see, Kapuli over there, we couldn't see him from a distance. All we could really see, if you were watching that part of the show, was what looked like a whitish sort of cream-coloured log. And I suppose if that lioness didn't have her belly in the air with one leg up, we would not have seen her. So thank you very much, madam, for lying so deliberately out like that with your leg in the air. Very, very kind of you. But I was saying the other day that I saw a zebra walking towards me in the poor light, and those stripes really made them disappear into the background. Aunt Joe, the thing I like, well, really there's a list of things that I like about the Mara the most, is the number of animals that I've seen out here in the last couple of days. It just boggles the mind. I love the fact that you can see for absolutely miles. You can see the animals all the way the other side of the horizon. I like the birding up here as well. I'm already notching lots of birds down. There's an incredible amount of birds, but it just feels to me to be a very wild place. Yes, there are roads. I haven't seen a single power line yet, apart from close to our camp. Not a single telephone pole. Even out here on this vista, you can look for kilometers and you don't see anything. Every now and again on the mountain or by a camp, you might see a pole or something with regards to a radio mast. But other than that, the human influence out here seems to be very little. Very low. The Kruger Park itself is a vast expanse of landscape, but you can still, there's tar roads. There's no tar roads here that I've seen yet. Are there any tar roads in the Mara, James? Tar. No, not tar roads. It's just all sort of graded, sort of what we call dirt roads. There's been a few vehicles, but today, I mean, James and I didn't see anybody today. We've maybe seen 2 vehicles the whole day. We've spoken to 2 people. And it's just incredible for this vastness. Yesterday was a little bit different. I think we just happened to be in a little bit of a hot spot of an area. But I like how we are here. There's no radio chatter about who wants to come and see these lions. So there's a whole lot of things, and I think daily I'm going to be getting more and more interested in all sorts of things. But the vastness of this landscape is just incredible. And I'll tell you, it's impossible to capture on the camera. You really just have to come and see it for yourself. When I flew in, it's my second time flying in just incredible to see the landscape. And 45 minutes or so from Nairobi, you see a few small settlements along the way, but with regards to human infrastructure, it's very, very little. And the landing strips which are dotted around the Mara really you only see them from the air, from the ground. You don't really know that they're there. I just love this open expanse. You really feel like you in the wilderness here, and the sky is just so enormous. And it's one of the things with American guests I had years ago when they were in the Kruger Park with me, is they just said the sky is so big. And if you've never been to Africa, it's hard for you to understand that, but the horizon is just very far away, and there's nothing on the horizon except for wilderness, and it makes the sky much bigger. Most people who come from cities or from built up areas, you don't really see the horizon, so the sky doesn't look so big because you've got skyscrapers, you've got buildings around you, so it limits your field of view. Synergy, there's a lot of different plants. Yes, there are a lot of different plants. I'm trying to get my head around a number of them. Invariably, a lot of this area is grass. There's a couple of grass species already that I've identified which are exactly the same. So from a grass perspective, very, very similar in the grasses. There's probably a few that we don't get down in South Africa, but the red oat grass most certainly is a very common grass down in South Africa. Not as abundant as it is up here, but that a lot to do with the soil type. But from a tree perspective, there's a number of trees that are the same, but there's also a number of trees that I have never seen before in my life. And well, I didn't bring a book, and I'm going to see if I can download a tree app for the area, because I would like to get to a level of species with a lot of the trees. I've identified a lot of trees so far to sort of genus level, but to get them onto the species level, well, that's going to take a little bit more effort, because sometimes species level, especially with the acacias, you need to count the individual leaflets. And if you don't have a book, well, I won't be able to identify them. Well, we're going to sit here, because it took us 2.5 hours to find these guys. We're not going anywhere. And while we do that, let's go see how Taylor's getting on with her search for the little chief.
Right, we are. Who have I just heard calling? Is it starlings? Why are they making that sound? And where are they sitting? Right above us, perhaps? I think they're sitting in this apple leaf, but it's just a bit hard to see. Ah! Now I'm crying because of the sun. It's so bright. There's lots of bees up there. Okay, I don't know what they're shouting at. We won't be able to see it anyways. But you can hear they're unhappy about something, but basically it's straight up above us, which is very difficult to see with the camera. So we're just driving around and round, trying to find Hosanna. We're going to go back to where his tracks go into a block, and then I'm going to get out and see if I can get him on foot. But I also got that the hornbills were eating. I wonder if they're maybe like sugar ants, because they're rather big. And I was saying to Seb, I've seen similar ants like that, but like solitary on their own, just moving around. And I think they're the ones that are sugar ants, but I don't know. I don't know much about them at all, unfortunately. Sorry, I've also just got something in my eye. So interesting. If anyone knows what ants those are, it'd be great to sort of find out. Otherwise, I did take a quick video of them. We'll try and have a look. Oh no, there's no ways I'll be able to dig my insect book out. It's down at the bottom, packed away in my car. So I don't think I'll be able to find it without having to unpack everything. So I might need your help to try and ID those types of ants. They're very cool. They're so quick. Hello, Impala. Are you all terrified? No, you look very happy. I'm going to try rolling. They're munching on something. Here they are. Hello. All feeding around and on a little shrub by the looks of it. Just munching away. There's also another quite a big herd at Treehouse down that were just having a very quick drink. And then they moved off. But this is basically the direction that Hosanna was coming in, from what Taxon could tell from his tracks. So it's a good area to come down into. This is also not too far away from where he killed that Nyala yesterday. I think he knows at the moment that this is a great spot for hunting. Oh, it's a little knobthorn that they're feeding on. Looks like it. Trying to eat as many of those nice leaves. Just gobbling down as much as they can. See how they all took advantage of that tree. So that's why it's so important that these trees have some kind of defense, whether it is thorns or spines or a tannin of sorts. Because if this entire group of impala all fed on the same tree, and there aren't many leaves at the moment, this is obviously a difficult time for all the trees to try and keep up with growing their leaves, but then also not having all the animals browse them off at one go. At least most of them have stopped feeding on it to give it a bit of a chance. Okay, let's carry on. Impala, if you guys start barking, at least I know where you'll be. That's also a good sign. So we're just going to go back towards where we last had Hosana, and then I think I'll jump out the car and then just do a very quick walk. I don't think he's gone very far. He's probably just plopped down. He was exhausted. You could see during the school drive, he didn't look very impressed with life. He was upset with the flies. They were really annoying him. And I'm sure he's hungry again. So I think that'll be our plan for the rest of the afternoon. Just to see what he kind of gets up to. I'm sure we'll find him eventually. Maybe once it cools down a little bit. Right, but Steve said he's not going anywhere. He's been searching for those lions all day long. So hopefully it'll all pay off.
Good luck, Taylor. Well, I hope both yourself and Tristan can make sure we get through the cat trifecta this afternoon. Us with the sausage tree pride, Tristan with Tingana, and you with the little chief. No doubt it will happen, but hopefully you are successful. The lionesses haven't moved too much. Kupuli got up, yawned, stretched a bit, and then walked over and gave a 10 out of 10 spectacular male lion flop on the grass, which Louise and I both scored 10 out of 10 because it was a magnificent flop down when they just sort of let their bum go and then just drop down. The whole body just hits the ground. If you were close enough, you'd probably be able to hear it. But first he got up and did a bit of a yawn and then started cleaning his face, and I think it was just a little bit too painful. He gave it one or two sort of licks on the hand and wipes on the face, and then, well, that was it. So Louise can relate to the way Kapuli fell down. That is how she slumps down into bed every single evening. The imagery now, Lou, is too funny. Too funny. Hopefully you haven't eaten as much as he has, though. But so talking about grasses, you can see just behind Kapuli there, you see that big patch of grass there, that tall grass there, in the top to the right there. Just a little bit more right, that tall grass, that looks like one of the thatching grasses. Kind of looks very similar to our yellow thatching grass. They're occurring up here on the slope. Lots of cellulose. You could variably use it for thatching. Got a lot of cellulose in it, so it burns very, very well because of all the fiber. And it's not very well eaten by most animals. We get a very similar one. It looks very much like the same grass down south, but hard to say from this distance. The red oat grass, as I said, is all over the place. And then I managed to reach out of the car and grab what looks like a Setaria species. So there are a number of species around that are very similar to down in South Africa. But it's difficult here. You know, we can't just go wandering around like we do. I don't have the freedom to go wandering through the bushes and have a look at all the plants and eat them, as I would like to do down in South Africa. So I'll try and get a handle on all the vegetation. But at the moment I'm doing most of that in and around camp, where the trees are very different up on the escarpment than they are down here. So yeah, we'll have to try and get much closer to some of the plants. There's no off-road driving, I'm afraid, to look at plants in the Mara. So maybe when the lions move, if we do get any closer to some of them, we'll be able to identify some. Some of the plants up there are kind of semi-recognizable, but unfortunately it's going to take a little while to get a handle on them all, which is good, a nice challenge for me, because back in South Africa most of the trees within the Kruger Park or the Lowveld are quite well known to me. You can, from a distance, you go, oh, that's that, of course I know that tree. So it's always nice to go somewhere where you are challenged a little bit with the plants. I know lots of you out there do enjoy your plants, And I will try and do quite a bit of work to get them out to you. And I'll try and focus and do a little bit more medicinal on a Monday if I can find the resources for the plants. I had a couple more specimens to do last night, but we found lions, and when we find lions that are playing with cubs, well, sometimes that's just all too much. Coast cider is very interesting. I mean, thatch roofs are very flammable, and they are coated with chemicals to prevent animals or insects from eating in them and breaking them down. But most thatch roofs in South Africa these days have got lightning rods to prevent any lightning striking the building and causing it to burn. But a thatch building, if it catches on fire, is absolutely destructing. It will destroy itself in a very short space of time. There was a building in the Timbavati years ago when I was a student, back when I was still a little boy, and it caught on fire, and we got there I think 45 minutes after the fire started. The place had burnt down. The safe, which had rifles inside it, melted. The rifles inside melted inside the safe inside that building. So by having a thatch roof, there's a lot of risks that are involved. And back in the day, locals who would have lived in these landscapes would have used thatch, but then they also would have used fire to their advantage, and they would have burnt around and burnt open the areas around them so that fire didn't come and just burn them down. But if you're playing with matches and fire inside your hut, well, you could have a really big chance of it burning to the ground. So yes, having a roof built out of grass is potentially hazardous. You have to be quite careful. Probably no smoking inside, I would say. But it did work, and has worked for a very long time. Thatch, it's very cool. We make nice buildings. It's cool in the summer and keeps quite warm in the winter months, but it does get quite dirty. Very popular thatch buildings in South Africa. A number of grass species are harvested directly from the wilderness. So there's a lot of revenue streams I know of in South Africa of individuals harvesting thatch grass, and that's how they survive. Brad, well, if we can pan a little bit to the side, they had a fire. When was the fire? Just before the TV show. It's all behind us. This area over here as well, where we spotted the wildebeest earlier. I can see an elephant in the distance. The entire area behind us was burnt, what is it, about a month and a half ago now. James, am I right? Yeah, about a month and a half ago, or so, 5 weeks, 6 weeks ago, quite a number of areas within within the park itself were burnt. It's part of management process to burn. Burning does attract the animals. It removes a lot of this grass material, and in areas where we drove today, the red oat grass, which is growing quite tall, starts falling over on itself, and it starts covering. See, that whole area there in the distance was all burnt, and it attracts the animals onto it. So by burning, you burn off all of the moribund material. And maybe we can come a little bit, once you finish with your pan there, James, we can come a little bit closer to home here, and I'll show you what I mean by moribund material. Moribund is essentially grass that grows up and eventually falls over and compacts itself. And I don't know if any of you out there have ever gone and put a blanket or a towel or any form of material, and we just, this little patch here, James, where the grass is all flat. So that is what we call moribund, or maybe something is laying there and it's flattened it down. But if you've put anything on your grass ever before, or we want to experiment, go and put, I've done it before with one of the mats you have in your car underneath where you put your feet in the car, or a towel or a carpet, put it on your lawn, and I promise you within a couple of days that entire patch will go yellow and it will die. Grass needs sunshine, so after a period of time the grass grows tall, it falls over, it gets compacted, it covers itself, it basically smothers itself, and then the photosynthesis that is required in the plant, it doesn't get the sunshine, so it doesn't grow, it eventually dies. So by burning, you can remove that moribund material and stimulate it. It causes new growth, it causes animals to come in, and also gets rid of all that organic material back into the atmosphere, and a lot of ash deposited on the ground. So very important. Fire in these ecosystems, they are fire-driven ecosystems. Grass itself is very, very fire driven. All grasslands in the world, well, that I know of, experience fire. And they actually make it quite productive. After a burn, you'll often find the wildebeest go running there. The zebra move straight onto a burnt area almost immediately afterwards, which is always very interesting. Okay, well, Tristan, I believe, is back on the car after some tracking. Let's go and find out if he's had any luck.
No, negative. Can't find where Tingana's ended up going. I've checked everywhere. His track just disappears on the road, and I don't know how he left it. I've checked all the paths around there. Find lots of tracks for Thandi, but nothing for him. So I actually am not sure where he's gone. I can't find anything tracking or crossing cheetah cut line. I'll get it out eventually. So I don't know where he's gone. Now we're just doing kind of loops around. The guy, somebody I bumped into said that there was some buffalo heading towards Buffelshoek Dam, but I can't seem to find any sign of buffalo at all. The only thing I can find is tracks from 2 days ago, or not even yesterday, it was the night before, going in that direction. So I don't know, maybe I missed something, but we'll go back and have a little look. I did find where Thandi and Tlhalamba did cross. The two of them are together, and they've both gone over into Torchwood. In Mfokazi, I found his track going over. It's just now I don't know where exactly Tingana is and what he's up to. There's nothing at the carcass. I've been back there twice now, and he's not lying around the carcass anywhere, because I thought maybe he might have done a little loop around and then kind of shifted back to the carcass, but alas, nothing there. So I don't really know. He might be just lying under a shady bush somewhere in the middle of the block, but we can't really be off our vehicles for too long, so it makes it quite tricky. So Minamu, hypothetical. There's no way I can answer that with any sort of realistic view. It's complete speculation as to Mfokazi and Hukumuri dominating Tingana's territory. No idea, it depends. Tomorrow we could get a male that's the size of Anderson that could arrive here and take over from all of them. Don't know. It's one of those things that you just have to wait and see. We'll just have to play it by ear, as they say, and find out whether or not one of them is brave enough to try and come in and push Tingana out. At this stage, neither of them are really even in the same weight category as Tingana, especially now that he's feeding as well as he is. I don't think either of them have got any chance whatsoever. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting year ahead. By the end of the next year, I think we'll kind of have a better answer as to what's going on. Hello, Steenbok. Yeah, an animal. Woohoo! It's doing its very best hidden impression. Of course, it's going to run away. No, it's decided to sit still a little bit, but there it goes. No, it's going to run away. What is with all of you this afternoon? Behave yourselves. There we go. See, it's listened. You have to sternly reprimand them sometimes in order to get them to sit still. Robert, Tingana expand his territory? Doubt it. You know, one thing we have learnt about Tingana even since he's bounced back into full fitness, is that he's not actually going as far as he used to. So we used to see him going as far as in Koro to, you know, all the way on to Arathusa, and I can't even remember the last time Tingana crossed into Arathusa. I don't think he has in a very long time. So I don't think he'll expand his territory. I think he's pretty happy with what he's got at the moment. Summer might see a different path of walking, and the reason why I say so, amazing the camouflage there actually. The reason why I say summer might change things is that now food and water is all restricted to certain sections, and so Tingana Hosana, they kind of bounce between Twin Dam's Treehouse, Wetela Pan, Gallagher Pan, Buffelshoek Dam, Chitwa Dam to a degree with Tingana, not much, and maybe Torchwood Dam for Tingana a little bit, but those are the kind of routes he's walking, and it's all just following water courses. As soon as summer arrives and the rain starts, then he's going to find water all over the place, and it no longer becomes about going to water holes, it just becomes about a territorial area, and so we might see him shift out a little bit there and try and find more food in that. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I think, like I say, the next year is going to hold a lot of answers for us as to what exactly is going to go on in our leopard world, and who exactly is going to end up being the ones that come out on top and end up staying as the dominant forces in this area, both female, male, and also the young males, as to where they're going to end up. We obviously know Tumba has moved off, and I'm sure a lot of you are asking if there's any updates on Tamba. Tamba's last seen 3 days ago on Marthley Ottawa corner, so it's quite far from here, but he was apparently on a kill there doing fine, so he is also around and doing just fine. Good. Talking about young males, Taylor, she's also searching for Hosanna, who's given her the slip today, so let's send you back to her and see if she's had any further signs and if she's having a better afternoon than what I am.
Right, I don't know, Seb, in this big marula tree, there's something waving in the wind. You see there's 3 branches? Obviously the tree splits into, yeah, this big marula tree, and then not the 2 branches on the outside, the one that sort of goes up into the, yeah, that there. What is that? There we go. It's a genet's tail. What? No ways. I saw this thing waving in the wind, and I thought that tail's a little bit too long to be a squirrel, and I thought, what on earth is that? That is so epic. So there we have a genet living in that tree with its tail just blowing in the wind. I bet it's fast asleep at the moment. And there are no other animals out here that have a long tail like that have got those stripes on. You can see it doesn't look anything like a leopard's tail, and also a leopard would be far too small. Far too large to fit in such a small cavity like that. So that screams genet to me. That's epic. That is quite cool. Surely if I can spot that, I can spot a leopard? You would think. Now, these creatures are nocturnal. Well, they also come out in the crepuscular period, so just before it gets dark. Looks like it's moving around slightly. Oh, try and pull its tail in. I think it knows it's been spotted. Very cool. Bizarre. Okay. Well, there's another. It's a pity it's so far off of the road. Unfortunately, we won't be able to drive on in there. If Hosanna goes past, so we might be able to use it as an excuse, but I don't know where he's gone. He's somewhere. We got out the car and had a little walk around. We saw a hyena on foot, but that was about it. We need Herbie's expert tracking advice, because I could not see any footprints on the ground. But he hasn't come out yet. I don't know what I want to do. Seb, left or right? Left. Okay. Yeah, I think we will try again. So we're just going to pretty much zigzag around here for the rest of the afternoon until we find him again. So we'll go back along towards Twin Downs, we'll go up and around, and then hopefully we're either going to catch him walking towards us, crossing the road, or we'll see his footprints again. But right now, no more signs of him just yet. They were perfect. We went to all the places where if I was a leopard, I would be in the shade. He didn't go to any of them. We didn't see any of his tracks. Just here around and in this area at the moment. All up and down. I suppose with the hyena den being fairly close by, it makes sense. Here, I can't slip. I mean, he must have just him. Typical. Eventually, well, find him again. There are some fresh other leopard tracks, so I don't know who they belong to. But off you go, back to Steve.
Thanks very much. I wonder if the genet's tail is going to provide some luck for the afternoon, like myself using that little branch yesterday. As soon as we stuck that branch on the end of the vehicle, we put it on our bonnet. Once that was done, well, then it all went down. We had animals all over the place. So, I'm wishing you luck down in the Sabi Sands, Tristan and Taylor. We are enjoying a very nice view. It is going to be a fantastic sunset, I think. And we sit here waiting with the lions still, who haven't done much. The sun will set just there behind those clouds, or below the clouds, and then down on the escarpment. Very, very pretty. The rolling, undulating hills, dotted with wildebeest and zebra. Termite mounds in the foreground. Much smaller than those we find down in South Africa. Remember the building blocks. When you build with bricks, the smaller the bricks, the smaller the house. And here all the soil is very rich in clay, so they don't build them as big. Whereas down in South Africa the building blocks are all sandy soils, so they're much bigger in size. Each particle brought from the bottom of the ground up by an individual termite. Such a process indeed. The hardest workers in the world, termites and ants. They never stop, constantly doing their thing. So as we come around once again onto the side, the crotons on the right here, there's a few trees dotted on this little sort of rocky area with the orange leaf. Oh, here comes another lioness. I think she wants to start playing. There we go. Come on, ladies. She's like, let's get up. It's time to get moving. It's time to get moving. She's been hiding in the shade, hiding underneath one of the orange-leafed crotons, which I was talking about yesterday. It is indeed a croton, but they are not well browsed upon, but do provide very nice fruit, which are eaten, not by lions, of course, but by fruit-eating animals and by most of the herbivores that would be up here on the ridges. You could potentially find a dik-dik up here, which I'd love to see. I've never seen a dik-dik. There she is. She's beautiful, isn't she? How beautiful are you? Oh, the yawning's starting. Rosalind, a pride unit consists of lionesses, so often they are females. Well, lionesses are of course females. They are often sisters, and then they will have daughters. Oh, she's going to go give Kapuli a bit of a rub. This could be interesting. Oh, don't rub him on the sore side of his face. She wants to play with the big man. Uh-oh, what does she want? Does she want something else? So the pride unit consists of adult lionesses, which are invariably sisters. Then they will have daughters and sons. Oh, another lioness is just coming out the side here. She's going to jump on her. She's coming from the side. Are you ready? A little bit of love. Oh, here we go. And she's also going to go say hello to Kapuli. Oh, hello. Hello, sir. All greeting, saying hello. So adult lionesses, which you can see, these are pretty much all... Oh, got a little bit of a grimace on her face there. She's picking up a scent. It's almost a phlegm response that you see there, picking up on some pheromones, which are indicating all sorts of things in the brain to these lioness. So the lioness make up the pride with their daughters. The daughters will stay in the pride, and the pride will continue for year and year and year after year. Even if the adults eventually die, their daughters will replace them. That is essentially the makeup of a pride. Young males will eventually leave, and dominant males who sort of oversee the prides can oversee more than one pride at a time, and they come and go. They're not essentially part of the pride. They are essentially the fathers or the protectors of the sons, or the protectors of the daughters and sons. And after a period of time, they will also get replaced by other males, and the dynamic continues. So that is essentially, Rosalind, how a pride works. Obviously, the oldest lionesses are generally the leaders of the pride, where the youngsters are constantly learning. Here we have an inquisitive one who's coming right up to us. I don't know what she's doing. She was pulling a little bit of a face at me a little while ago, but she looks quite bulgy, doesn't she? Yep, she's had her dinner. So what are the chances, ladies and gentlemen, that she's going to come right in front of our car and have a poo? She is definitely going to come. See, she's got, her mammary glands are a little bit swollen. It doesn't look like there's fresh suckle marks on there, but she's definitely a lioness that has had cubs before. She's going to find a nice place. She's like Amber Eyes. She's going to move away from the pride and have a poo. Here it comes. Hopefully it's got nothing to do with the consistency of Tingana's the other day, which was, I had to look away. I can't watch. Tell me when it's over, James. Now, this is definitely a loo with a view. She's looking at the same sunset we were looking at a moment ago. What a lovely lady. So that is 4 lioness that I've counted now with Kapuli. There we go. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we'd all do the same, wouldn't we? I've been to quite a number of places in the world that actually advertise the loo with a view. Little scrub here just got the life scared out of it, James. Can you see just directly there? Straight across. Yeah, right there. Punch in. There she is. There it is. A little bit up. I saw one. A little bit left. There we go. In the middle of the left of the frame. That scrub hair came out a little. I think it's a scrub hair. I don't know the lagomorpha up here, but it looks very much like a scrub hair to me. I'm going to be rehashing my mammal identification while up here, because there's probably going to be some species that are going to surprise me. It just had a little bit of a fright as it spotted a lion having a bit of a toilet break not far from where it was probably coming out of its little warren. This little a shrub where it's probably spent the evening. Oh, oops, it goes. That will be the end of that. Okay, well, we are getting some action as all the lions are now up, apart from Kapuli. You are gorgeous. She is enormous. Yes, Tom, that was a postcard picture, and that is a beautiful young lioness there. She looks quite young to me. So we've now had 3 lioness walk directly past our vehicle. Kapuli has heard them moving. I did originally see some animals behind us in the distance, and isn't that just the way it... Oh well, don't pan left because another female has decided she's going to have a toilet stop in the exact same place. Let's stay with these two. Way more entertaining watching lions that are moving rather than having a toilet break. Kapuli is going to tag along. You can still see where they're going. Just trying to figure out if there's any interest. And he'll just keep them in eyes sort of view before slowly following them before they get out of sight. And if he does lose them, well, he'll be able to smell them wherever they go. Now, the number one thing I have to remember now is when I follow them and turn around, I must not drive over where those two have had a toilet break, because that can be quite disgusting. Kimberly, yay, they are indeed awake. And the individual right in front of us says, oh, sorry about my head. Watch her. She's basically just stuck her face into a bush that one individual did a bit of a scent mark on. And have a look at the grimace, phlegm and grimace. Come on, show us. There she's activating the organ of Jacobson in the roof of the mouth. She's actually testing the urine of one of her family members, and it is indicating all sorts of things to their brain. Reproductive status, strength, all sorts of things we can only really guess at. We've never sat down a whole lot of lions and say, what exactly are you getting from that urine smell? All we know is that they love to do it. We see it in most mammals. Oh. And just pan out a little bit. Look at that. Oh, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is what I love about this place, is the vista with the sunset. Kapuli is going to follow them shortly. I think we might turn around ourselves and get the lions walking away from the vehicle. I'm sure he's going to catch up. James, shall we turn around and see where the lionesses are going? Are you happy with that? James? Yep. Okay. Well, we're going to have a gorgeous sunset. Remember where the poo is? It's over there. It's a bit bumpy. There's a couple of basalt rocks up here that you have to be wary of. We don't want to be breaking a diff. Oh, just as I get down a little bit. Landmines and rocks. You've got to be very careful. Just like that, you turn your head for a moment and the lions are gone. Into the thatch grass. Where exactly they've gone to, I'm sure we will find them. But incredible how all of a sudden they just walk through this area and they are no more. Oh, there they are, in the distance. They can cover quite a bit of ground in a short period of time. Okay, well, there they are, just moving off. And get them in visual just for a second before we link over to Tristan. There they go. We're going to follow those 3. There's a 4th one somewhere around. We're going to get a nice view of them as they move off, and in the meantime, let's go back down to Tristan and see if he's had any luck.
No negative, Steve. Like what's just happened to you, we've been given the slip all afternoon by every animal out here, which has been quite tricky, but the way it goes, it's okay. We've had a good couple of days, and so it's just been a pleasant afternoon. It's also been so hot that I'm not surprised that nothing is around. I would imagine now it's really kind of cooled off quite a bit. You can see that sun is at a beautiful angle now, and so it's kind of the right time for things to be happening. So I would imagine we're going to start to see kind of animals creeping out of the woodwork, hopefully, and making their way out to go and have a bit of a drink. And we're going to go back to Buffelshoek Dam, and Craig and I have decided we'll sit with the hippos for a bit and just listen. It might be a good thing. Tingana was fairly vocal this morning, so I'm hoping that if he wakes up this afternoon, if he doesn't come back to that kill, that he might let out a saw. And if we're at Buffelshoek Dam and we're off, well, then we're going to pick that saw up quite quickly, rather than just driving around and not really knowing what's going on. The other thing is that these buffalo have vanished or gone into thin air, or never really existed, because there's no tracks that I can find that are in any way from today as far south as the Mamba sort of junction on Cheetah Cut Line. So I think these are the ones from a couple of days ago. I think the guys got a bit excited when they saw those tracks, but it is from a few days ago, unfortunately, because it would be nice if the buffalo had come towards the dam, because you just sit with them and you can listen out and kind of pass a bit of time and wait. But it is definitely the leopard hour now, so I wonder if Tingana might just do a loop back to the dam. I'll be surprised if he does, though. His movement is away from this dam, and something this morning didn't sit well with him, so I'd be very, very surprised if he ends up coming back. But I suppose food overrides many feelings in a cat's mind, and so let's see. You never know, maybe Hosanna arrives here, maybe he's sniffed it out and is on his way this way, and that's why Taylor can't find him. Who knows? These two cats, you can never be too sure where either one of them is. But if there's food around, it's always a good bet just to sit with it. And like I say, I mean, there's enough food there in my mind to try and kind of keep a leopard around. Maybe Tingana, just being so full, just decided, you know what, I've eaten enough, I don't need this anymore, I can carry on, and I need to go and patrol my territory a bit after so many meals and not moving around. Or maybe he heard Tundi and Kalamba and decided to go and investigate. You never know. It could be a number of different things that's happening in Tingana's mind, but definitely no sign of him at that carcass at the moment. It's also, like I say, been such a hot day that I'm not surprised that we haven't seen animals out. I would have thought, though, maybe we would have had some ellies at Buffelshoek Dam. I know we had 2 herds this morning, but I was hoping that we would have seen more. And what's really been kind of interesting and slightly concerning in some respects is just how skittish the elephants have been lately. I haven't had a relaxed elephant sighting at all. I mean, I suppose today they came down and had a bit of a mud wallow, but as soon as they were finished, they just ran away from us, which is very odd. Generally, the elephants in this area are super relaxed, and while they will go and mud wallow and drink, and they do get quite mobile towards water, generally when they're done, they're quite good at just sort of hanging around and taking it very easy. And so I'm very surprised at the way that we've seen the yellies moving around in the last 2 days. I wonder what's going on that's causing them to be a little bit kind of panicky, if that's the word. Maybe it's just the small group size, or ellies that just don't know this area very well at all. What's interesting with our ellies, and why we haven't seen many ellies this winter, normally in winter we do see quite a few elephants coming through, and this winter we've seen very few. And the reason for it, I'm pretty sure, is that north of us, well, north of the Manyeleti, there's then the Timbavati, and kind of to the northwest of the Timbavati is a place called Thorny Bush. Now, Thorny Bush was a fenced-off reserve for many years, and it didn't have many elephants. I think they had 30 odd. I'm not sure, I stand to be corrected, but it was around there. It wasn't many at all. And they then dropped their fences with the Timbavati last year. And the census that they did, I think the ellie numbers went from 30 to, it was something like 1,000 elephants recently inside that reserve. And so I reckon a lot of the herds that we used to see in this area have gone into that section, and because there's so much more food than there will be here because of the lack of elephants that were in that area. Right, well, Steve has caught up with his lion, so without further ado, let's rather send you to him. Other than my babbling, I'm sure you would want to see animals instead.
Well, thank you very much. We have finally got all of them up. They followed the 3 lioness, the 4th lioness, to a little puddle in the ground, and they drank, and now they are lying down, and we're now watching the big Kapuli moving away from them now. I thought he'd come and have a drink as well. don't know what he's... Oh, there we go. He's there we go. That's another 10 out of 10. That's what we were talking about before, the proper lion flop on the ground. Well done, boy. You saw that the lioness hadn't moved too far away, and he decided that, well, I can see them now. They're just over here. I'm not that thirsty. Let me flop back down again. So here they are, two of them in picture, looking either direction. They've had a little bit of a thirst-quenching drink, and now it is time to rest again. So excitement over for the meantime, I think. One of the lioness moved off a little bit further than the rest. I think she's keen to get moving. Hello, Mike. The largest lion pride ever discovered. I think it's somewhere in the 30s, 35 or something, close to 40 in the Savuti area. The largest I've ever spent time with is about 24 animals, and eventually 24 animals becomes too much as the youngsters become a little bit older. They have to split up. But when it comes to the Savuti lion prides, as discussed a little bit earlier on in the show, they actually become specialist elephant hunters, because the elephants in that part of the world is an enormous number of them. There's 500,000 elephants in Botswana, and they have decimated certain parts of Savuti, and that has led to a number of the herbivore animals moving out. So the lions weren't able to feed on anything other than elephant. So to quench or to sate their hunger, they banded together in larger prides and then are able to take down elephant. But then I think they're split up in the season as it becomes a little bit more wet, because as it turns around very quickly. So that happens in the sort of the dry season as game becomes very little and there's water. Elephants come in, but the food is gone, but the elephants are still coming because they feed on the trees. But so I think in the summertime the lions split up again. But I haven't spent any time in there, just through a few documentaries that I've watched. Okay, Kupuli is there, two lioness there, one there and one in the distance. I wonder what they're going to get up to. They do look rather full, so I think their primary objective was just to get a bit of a drink. This is probably going to be them for the next little while. But we can go back over to her and have a look. She is a magnificently large lioness. She's got a really long, really thick neck. And her and her sister behind her, I can't really tell if it's a sister or a daughter, but she is a beautiful specimen. Kevin, I don't think so. I think they just happened to flop down that way, like Kupuli in the shot before. He just sat down and that was the way he ended up. These two lioness, I think a very similar thing happened. I don't think protection. It's something you do see in your antelope will often face different directions. You find that in rhino a lot. They will often spend time looking in the opposite direction from each other, and that is definitely for a protection. But I don't think these lions are doing it for anything other than just the way that they lay. They probably prefer their right or the left-hand side, and that is the way it happened. As you can see, they are going back into what we call a cat nap. The sun is now set in the distant horizon. The light is fading, and we will be needing to put on our infrared light shortly so as to be able to capture any of the movements of these lions. But fortunately this evening we are able to follow them in this area. We can off-road. As you probably noticed, we have been off-road for the last while. Last night we were in an area where off-roading is prohibited, which is understandable. It's a very swampy marsh area, although it is dry this time of year. You can imagine that area in the wet season would be impossible. Well, while we put on our infrared lights, we're going to go back down to South Africa with Taylor McCurdy and see if she's had any luck finding Hosana.
No, we haven't. We've literally just been led on a wild goose chase this afternoon. I have no idea where this cat's gone. So we had leopard tracks. So what happened was we went back down into the Mulwati again, and then there were leopard tracks over our tracks. But then I'm confused. I don't know if maybe Umfokazi is also maybe that other male leopard that's quite skittish. Because just every now and then when we see the fresh tracks and we hear a squirrel alarming, but there's nothing. So I'm kind of starting to think that maybe Hosana and Umfokazi are within this area. Because where Hosana was and tracks going west, it makes sense. But then there were other tracks that were quite fresh in the Mulwati coming towards us, and then, you know, 20 minutes later they were over our track. So I don't actually know what's going on. So we just quickly went on to Leadwood. We also checked a little bit of Gari Katla, there's no tracks crossing out. Now we've come back onto Mamba, going straight back towards the Mulwati. And I think we'll just check Twin Dams once more, and then I think we'll start going towards Treehouse Dam again. Maybe Hosanna's on his way there to have a drink. So that's kind of the plan. We haven't seen a few elephants, but sadly they've been just out of view. Obviously with all the wind this afternoon, they don't particularly want to spend much time out in the open, so they're like off into the thicket, which doesn't make for the greatest of game viewing, unfortunately, which is sad, because I was hoping, and I haven't had a chance yet to spend a drive with some ellies. The ones that we have seen, you know, have been moving around quite a bit. So guess what? I have some interesting news for you. You all might actually meet Bossy Donna. How hilarious is that going to be? But my parents are coming on safari on Thursday, and I'm totally going to drive around and follow them. And that's what we're going to commentate on. We're just going to narrate my mom going on safari and how she'll go, don't get too close. That's too close to the elephants. So I will maybe just quickly do one of those on screen. Yeah, we'll tell her to clap for the snakes. They're only here for 2 nights, but it's going to be hilarious. I'm so excited. They are going to be in a car with other people. It's not like they're going to come on drive with us, but it's going to be really funny. I'm so excited. They're probably watching now. I'm going to have to phone my dad. We're going to have to plan some pranks. It'll be great. Yeah, we are definitely going to have to sneak Bossy Donna on camera. It'll just be too good. You'll see her. She'll have her big sunglasses on, her blonde hair blowing in the wind. She's very funny. Okay. I really don't understand why these leopards are hiding away. I still think that Hosanna is in such a bad mood. He's probably hangry because his stomach is only half full rather than bursting at the seams. And then I think he's just annoyed with hyenas in general. So I think it was really nice of Tristan this morning to just give him a bit of a break. That's why when we were with him at the school drive, he just looked so unimpressed with us when we arrived. Like, oh, you found me. And we were like, yes, we were lying out in the middle of the open. It wasn't a very good spot to try and hide. And we'll just drop down. I think we'll drop down into the I don't know. Do we want to go along Twin Dams Road or in the Mulwati again to Dam, have a quick look, and then we come back? Yes, let's go down Dam, come back up Twin Dams. We'll take Elephant Carcass towards Weaver's Nest, and then we'll go towards Treehouse Dam. I think that'll be our plan. Let's just check here nicely. Still nothing around here. Ooh, here comes the fun part with the slipping and sliding. Is very okay. So these are basically where the tracks, just around the corner. So we'll keep checking. Anyways, Tristan and I are not having leopard luck, but you know, that'll all change.
Well, hopefully, Taylor. So far, no luck for us. Our plan of going and sitting at Puffershoek Dam has been foiled by somebody having a drink stop next to a leopard's kill. I have no idea why you would do that, but anyway, I doubt that Tingana is going to go back to his kill now. So now I'm trying to think, where am I going to go from here as to find something? So I don't know, maybe I'm going to go check Treehouse Dam out just out of a complete whim and see if maybe we get lucky there or something. But this area, I doubt Tingana will come back to that carcass while people are out of their cars and having a drink sundowner very, very close by. I stopped and just listened here for a while just to see if I could hear maybe some squirrels or some go-away birds or the last alarm calls for, you know, daylight animals as they start kind of heading home to roost and to settle down. Sometimes they bump into leopards. Also, it's, you know, cool enough now that a leopard might just think about starting to move around, and so, you know, it's always a good time just to stop, just to listen. I was saying that Tingana might vocalize. You know, he was vocal this morning, and so who knows, he could have let out a little squeak while we were sitting here. Not that Tingana squeaks in any way at all. Apparently he sounds like a pig, so I should say he squeals. But no, he doesn't. He makes it a manly saw, doesn't he, Tingana? That's maybe why I'm not seeing him, is he's offended from my giving him trouble this morning about his vile intestines when he releases what he's eaten, and the fact that he, you know, was looking like a pregnant zebra. Maybe that's why he's decided not to show himself this afternoon. He's feeling self-conscious about the fact that I called him a pregnant zebra. That could be it. He did look like it though, to be honest. His stomach was so wide, he kind of looked just like a pregnant zebra. So I'm pretty sure he has taken offense to me calling him a pregnant zebra, and that's why we're not seeing him. I'm sorry, Tingana, I take it back. Come out now. Don't punish me anymore. You've made me drive the same road 12 times this afternoon, so it's time to get it. It's time to give me some slack and let me kind of see what's going on. I wish. Yes, Louise, I'm sure you would be offended if I called you a pregnant zebra after dinner. It's probably not the nicest thing to call a lady ever, regardless of after dinner, before dinner, or any time really. So gentlemen that are watching, do not call any ladies a pregnant zebra if you would want to keep your appendages that are between your legs, because I'm pretty sure most women would not take that very, very, very nicely at all, and you would probably end up being castrated on the spot for saying such things. True story. Anyway, right, Craig, where should we go? Let's ask Batman. Batman is going to guide us now. Batman, where should I go? Drakensberg Road. Okay, Batman, let's go Drakensberg Road. But to get to Drakensberg Road, we're going to have to do Cheetah Cut Line. Guess what, Craig? For what time? The third time. Yes, Craig, we're going to do Cheetah Cut Line for the third time. And then where would you like to go from Drakensberg Road? Would you like to go south down Drakensberg Road, Craig? So Craig says south down Drakensberg Road. Apparently Taylor and I have been driving the same roads all afternoon. Now there is a very, very good sunset, Craig. Can you get that? It's a little bit difficult because of the angle that we're at. You can see I've given the horizon a bit of a skewness for poor Craig. But look at that. How's that for a sunset? It's pretty. And there's a lot of trees in between, but there are the mountains and the nice setting sun. It looks very, very nice indeed. Yes, I mean, you're right, Louise. We have to keep Slacky from just slacking and actually doing some work. So Craig's other nickname besides Batman is Slacky. So why he's been called Slacky, I have no idea. Louise, do you know why he was called Slacky to start with? I have absolutely no idea. Craig does work hard. He doesn't slack that much, but... Craig, why did we start calling you Slacky?
I'm not actually sure.
Craig's not sure. Louise is not sure. It just came about and Craig ended up being called Slacky, and so we do need to make Slacky do some work at some time. Oh well, it's now Craig's name, even if he was calling him. I think Craig actually called somebody else that, is what Lou's saying. Might have been Lou. I think that might actually be the truth. Very, very pretty though, isn't it? It's almost still wintry in the sunsets. It's still the amount of dust that we have in the air. No, Louise, I do not want to call you a pregnant zebra. I've learnt my lesson. Tingana has punished me enough, and he's not even a lady. So can you imagine how much punishment a lady would dish out if you called her that? So no, we're not going to call you a pregnant zebra at all, I promise. We'll leave that for somebody who is braver than I am. Ah, spotted cats. Yes, Craig has also got another nickname, that's right, Louise. But Louise, we're going to have to make you do it because you do it the best out of everybody, which is the Go Away Bird's Cry that says Craig. So there's that name. Yeah, you'll have to send me a voice note, Louise, and then I'll have to play it. But Craig, have you got any other nicknames? Craig, what were you called at school? Craig, were you called... Come on, Craig, there's no ways that you went to school and nobody gave you a nickname. It's impossible that they used your first name. That doesn't happen at school. Louise, do you believe this nonsense that I'm hearing on this vehicle? I don't think it's true at all. Then Craig has got a nickname. He just doesn't want to tell us. Craig, can I tell you what my nickname was? I had two nicknames, Craig. So, Craig, I had two nicknames. I had one nickname was Seal Pup, which because when I was at school, I didn't like having long hair. And I used to always kind of get one of those, what do you call them? Shaver things, and shave my head. and so my head was always very, very short, and so the guys at school reckoned I looked like a seal pup, so I got the name Seal Pup for a while, which was quite funny. And then the other one I got was Sid the Sloth. I don't know why I got Sid the Sloth. I think it was, actually I do remember why now, it was during a cricket game that we were playing, and I wasn't in the best kind of mood for the game at all, and I was being a bit lethargic, I'll be honest. I wasn't being exactly energetic, and so the guys nicknamed me Sid the Sloth for that. Not ideal. It's not a very good thing to be called Sid the Sloth. Slacky the Sloth, yes, that's what I should have been called. You're right, Louise. I was slacking that day. But do you know what? I recovered from it. The next game I was very good, and I did what I needed to do. It was a pre-season warm-up game, and it wasn't really, you know, for anything. So that's my excuse, and I'm going to stick with it. Now, one person who has gotten a lot of nicknames since joining the SafariLive crew is Stevovo the Vov. And, well, I wonder what nicknames he received when he was back at school all the way back in the day.
Thanks, Sid. Thanks, Sid the Sloth, for coming up over to us so rapidly there. It was quite a slow little handover, wasn't it? No, I'm only joking. Well, James started calling me Steve Ovo, but it's something I was called quite a long time ago. And it's kind of one of the things that local people use when the name Steve comes up. It's kind of a nice term of endearment, really. And now James is limited. James Hendry, I'm talking about. James is limited to now just calling me the Vov, which is, from James Hendry's point of view, the least amount of words he's ever used in his life. Well, it works. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me too much. It's better than the most common name in the world, Steve. You don't get many Steves around in the world, do you? And my surname's Falconbridge, so a lot of my friends call me Falky. But then one of my friends also, even though I don't drink a lot, called me Falky the Elky for a little while, purely because it rhymed, even though he drank more than me. Well, that's it for now, from a nickname point of view. Quite boring, in fact. Kapuli is very comfortable. You can just hear, I don't know if you can hear it on the ambient sound, but there's quite a lot of bats beeping in the air. They're what's the word again? Ultrasound is ultrasound. Echolocation is bouncing off of us. We can just hear the squeaking noise. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, well, the ambient is picking it up. You could probably hear a little bit of the wind as well, and is coming up quite strongly from behind me. And with the high-pitched squeaks of the bats looking for the insects that are invariably all over the place. I see them when I'm driving back with the headlights on. The insects are coming flying right into my face, into the eyes, in the mouth. Manuk, you love bats? Bats are very interesting. They are one of the strangest looking mammals I've ever encountered in my life. Fruit-eating bats at least look like a form of a mammal, but whereas your insect-eating bats, really, really funny looking faces. But then I suppose if you're blind and you live in the dark, you don't need to look very pretty, do you? Most of your insect-eating bats are really, really interesting looking, really funny faces. Really, really scary, in fact, and I suppose that's why popular culture depicts them as vampires, as they do come across as sort of very, well, they are nocturnal, not move around at night, and the vampire bat itself, with those very sharp-looking canine teeth, which does suck the blood of certain mammals. Well, how many people have not heard of vampires in the world? It all comes back down to stories and history and Vlad the Impaler. So very interesting how bats have taken on that sort of role in the environment. Just like we were talking earlier about snakes having a very bad sort of rap, all coming back down to Adam and Eve in the Bible, and snakes are evil. And unfortunately, they're very, very not liked anymore. But bats bats and rodents are the most diverse mammal species in the world, genuses in the world. There's so many of them, they outnumber absolutely every other mammal species around. So bats, even though they're nocturnal, there's plenty of them. Anyway, talking about nocturnal, we've still got Kupuli lying very, very flat in the long grass. The nose ring Kupuli, who for sure would sort out a hyena doesn't matter where the hyena might be.
Right, look at that. Now, you can't see much, unfortunately, because our light is running out, but it was a beautiful reflection just a little while ago. And there's a hyena just having a drink of water. Very, very thirsty on a hot day like today. You're going to go in for some more. What are you looking for? It's actually quite cool to see. It's very eerie. I don't know why. Hyenas should feature in more horror movies, don't you think? Also just going to, as we sit here, listen out for any alarm calls, because this is the kind of the time that we need to really, really be listening for go-away birds, or perhaps the nyalas that we saw, you know, any of those animals that we were talking about a little bit earlier. But I haven't. They're all still around. But unfortunately, no leopards just yet. So Tristan and I were just talking on the radio, and we're not sure if maybe it's Tingana's tracks that come down here. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. He said he was going southeast, so maybe that's in fact what's happened. But we'll just have to listen out. I don't know, who is this? Corky? Kipel, you said perhaps not a horror film for this one because you said it looked cute. Who's missing it? No, does Corky have a missing ear like that? I'm sure she does. Definitely lactating. You can see the mammary glands there, so I think it might be her. Yeah, I think this is her, which makes sense because we're at Treehouse Dam and her den is not particularly far away. Got a nice big belly too, so she must have scavenged or something. I wonder if she was one of the hyenas that were involved in stealing the carcass from Hosanna. Maybe you can all let me know. I didn't actually get to see that sighting, so #SafariLive. Say yay or nay. Are you hot? And exhausted and bothered and annoyed? That's so stinky, that water. Perfect for a hyena. Sorry, I've now got hiccups. I have to hold my breath. Yeah, that definitely looks like Corky to me. Marching away, muddy feet and all. That would actually be quite cool tracks, seeing the bits of mud. So it was Ntima and a male by the name of Koza that stole the kill from Hosanna. That's nice that Ntima's getting more involved. I love that hyena. She's very precious. She's so sweet. And also just because we've watched her grow up. I spent a lot of time with her. I was so surprised when I got to see her again. You know, we don't often get to see the hyenas of Djuma. They're normally few and far between. But again, now that we've got this den here, it's awesome. Awesome, awesome for us. We get to see them almost at every single leopard sighting, actually. It's been pretty good. But there she goes. She doesn't look like she's heading back towards the den. She's kind of going in the opposite direction. She needs to turn and go all the way to the right, but she's now going towards where the sun is set, so down towards the west. So she might be going off to find something else to eat before she goes back and suckles her youngster. But remember, hyenas don't have to go back to the den every single day. Young hyena cubs can go a couple of days without having to drink. That milk is so filled with fat and protein that it keeps them going for a lot longer than lions and leopards when they suckle their youngsters. It almost have to be suckled every couple of hours. Very cool. Well, nice to see. At least we got some life rather than just bumbling about. But keep your fingers crossed for the leopards. I think Steve has kind of won the safari this afternoon.
We are indeed still with the lions. We've managed to move around to the other side where we've now got two of the females in frame. And their heads are up. The other two as well, their heads are up. So hopefully there'll be something going on soon. The temperature is very, very cool now. They're listening. It's very quiet. Just listening for maybe the characteristic sound of a group of gnu's. The stomping of a foot. That one heard something. whether they are hungry or not. They can't help themselves sometimes. This time of year, it's just an abundance. So even if they don't eat the entire animal, they can't help themselves but catching. It's just the way it works. Predators make hay while the sun shines. So this is the second lioness. We first were looking at the one to the right of this one, and she was an enormous female. This one is equal in size. So peaceful at the moment. It really goes against their nature when things are going down. They go from this very peaceful Zen-like state to, well, some of you have probably seen it before. Kapuli's face shows testament to what the lions can get up to. Although I would love to have seen, bear witness to exactly what transpired with the large male. Gauging by the hole in his face, really hard to know exactly what created such a hole. So where that lioness is looking in the distance, there were a herd of wildebeest, but quite far away. But as we know, these animals can move. Okay, so Lou's telling me that he was in a scuffle last week with some males. I wasn't here. I didn't see it. I wonder if James, you know, if there was, if he had a wound after that, or did you see anything, James? Not sure, eh? Well, David's gone on leave and Manu as well, so I can't ask them either. Unfortunately, it's only myself and James here at the moment, holding fort. What a marvelous fort to hold. As I mentioned earlier, my first time with the sausage tree pride, so I am trying to gauge as much information as I can. Cavaco, with regards to Kapuli, it's my first time seeing him, first time seeing this pride, so I'm not sure where those two young males potentially are. I found it absolutely bizarre, though, watching from South Africa, that Kapuli was with the pride and the young males were mating with individuals within the pride, and he was sort of watching. I don't understand that behavior very well. Where they're gone now, maybe he had enough with one of them, and that is why his face looks the way it does. I have absolutely no idea, and unfortunately I don't have that information at hand. So maybe I'll give David a call when I get home this evening and find out if he knows anything about what transpired with the two younger males in the pride, where they've gone to, or to in the coalition, should I say. They weren't as big or as daunting in size as he is. So maybe they've gone to go hang out with boys their own age. There we go. Oh, normally the yawn is followed by some activity. In this case, the yawn is followed by a flop on the ground, a good stretch, a good rollover. You would almost think you could go scratch that belly. Oh, here we go. Here we go. That's going to happen now. I'm going to count it down, James, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I thought they would have stood up, but no, they're not. So Lou thinks that she got a 6 out of 10 for that little flop and roll. She could have definitely done better, but I don't think she knows anyone's judging. She doesn't look as big from this side now. Interesting. He looks a bit dwarfed by this individual, but then on the other side, this one looked dwarfed by her. It's interesting how a couple of feet or meters can change the perception of the size of these animals. But looking at the chest of the lioness in front, she is a really impressive looking individual. And the two other lionesses are lying flat in the grass just on the other side of this little drainage session, a very muddy wallow that you can see the grass is quite long there. And if you didn't know any better, you drive straight into that. Oh, here we go. She's going to come across it. See, she's going to be very careful how she navigates this little patch. If we were driving along and we drove into that, well, it would be myself joining the Marshmallow Club, and I am going to do my utmost best to not There's going to be a face rub now, as is always characteristic with lions. And the second lioness will not get one. She's now going to go possibly over to Kupuli and give him a face rub. Hopefully doesn't hurt his side of his face that he's lying on. Kimberly, I've never seen a lion hunter scrub hair, but I've no doubt that they would. Actually, I have seen one. My mistake. I was with the Nkuhuma Pride once down at Buffelshoek watering hole, and they were walking across from the watering hole and up onto the other side, and suddenly, sorry about my head, where did that lion go? Suddenly, one of the young lions jumped into a buffalo thorn, which is something lions don't do, and it came out with a scrub hair, which it did not share with anybody. I almost forgot about that. Oh, it's flat right there, James. Just in the grass. Very flat. There we go. Look at that. Very camouflaged. Yeah, so seeing a lion jump into buffalo thorn, I thought it was playing with one of its other counterparts, and then it came out with a scrub hair, and then it was one of the younger females, but no one took any of it because she said, "This is mine." It was quite something. Who was I with? We watched the whole thing and sat in front of her eating it. It was very cool to see. Just a little aperitif for a lion. So yes, Kimberly, they will hunt them. They won't actively go out of their way to catch them because scrub hares are very fast, but if they spot one hiding in the thickets, they will jump into the thicket itself, regardless of thorns and obstacles. Okay, well, Tristan is out with the spotlight. Let's go back down to him and see what he's going to get up to.
I have got my spotlights out. I've given up on Tingana. I've decided Tingana is being naughty and that I'm not going to find him going the way that I'm going, and so I'm going to try somewhere else. And I'm just checking if maybe he came southwards towards the Mulwati, maybe he's down with his son around this area, but so far no sign of any tracks coming this direction at all at this stage. So I don't really know. Apparently Hosanna was somewhere here. I don't know, maybe he was around Spaghetti Junction area. I'm not sure where exactly he is, but I know the route that he takes if he walks from here to kind of the north, but apparently he went westwards. So where he's gone from there, I'm not quite sure, unless he kind of just shifted and changed direction. The guys say that he crossed Twin Dams Road and went west, so I know Taylor's been driving, much like I have, round and round and round in circles. In fact, there's Taylor right now. You just see the light glowing through the thickets. Should we spotlight her? Let's put her in the spotlight. Hello, Taylor. Hello. Look, she's ignoring us. She doesn't want to be our friends, guys. Taylor ignored us. Taylor. It's not very nice at all, Taylor. You're supposed to be our friend and you're supposed to stop for us when we... And now she's going to go behind me. You know, she's coming to say hello. Let's say hello to Taylor. Look at her approaching. No, now she's veering off again. Where is she going? Now she's speeding away from us. Australians. No, I'm joking. In South Africa, we have this big joke about Australians and South Africans, and we give each other lots of trouble. And we actually, this week was very good. We managed to beat Australia in the rugby. Ooh, hello, Taylor.
Interesting.
Can you not turn it off?
No, I'm blinding you.
Oh, really?
I'm trying.
How's your afternoon been? Fun. How many roads have you driven the same time?
I've only driven the Mulwati, Weaver's Nest, Savage's Track, Elephant Carcass, Treehouse Dam,
Twin Dams.
That's it. That's all I've done the entire
like 5
afternoon.
times.
But no, more. I think more now,
Even
more than 5.
Yeah.
Okay, unlucky, man. Where did he go? Where's he here?
He was here at this Guarichi, and then there's tracks that go straight west, and we went and we walked. Aubrey, Taxi also went to walk, but then there's also tracks just a little bit in the Mulwati and Fresh Dam. There's no tracks coming out of this block. And then, I don't know, I give up.
Okay. Well, good luck. I'm gonna go checking where Ali.
Okay, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay. Well, are you gonna find him now? I have faith, Taylor. I have faith. Bye, guys. Bye, Seb. So there we go. We've caught up with Taylor. Found out what she wanted to do and what she's kind of been up to. Sounds like she's at least she saw a leopard today, or this afternoon. She kind of had a glimpse of Hosanna, but I wonder what he got up to. Something must have triggered him to go. I know that he sometimes goes onto a termite mound here, but if they walked there, either he ducked down and just didn't move, but he should have been easily visible from that mound. And I'm just trying to think where else he could have gone. Normally from here his route is northwards. He's going back up towards the camp and towards sort of where the dams are. So I wonder, Ingwe Alley is where I'm going to go. I'm just going to go Ingwe Alley. We're going to throw it out. It's the name of a road with a leopard, so maybe we'll get lucky. There's a duiker, that's not a leopard, so that's not what we're looking for, but you never know. Maybe we get lucky and we find him kind of coming out there. He is a Mulawati wanderer as well. He likes to kind of cruise around in the Mulawati when no one's looking and goes through there, so maybe we'll get lucky and catch him somewhere on this side. Nancy, but why not? I want to. So Nancy says I can't always have a leopard day. I know we can't always have a leopard day, and I saw a leopard today already. I had a wonderful sighting of Zingana this morning, so I can't complain too much. We have had it fairly good today, so I'm just joking about it. I mean, it's part and parcel of being out here. Sometimes you just won't find the animals that you're looking for, and that's what makes it amazing and makes it wild and makes it interesting and makes it kind of something that it keeps us doing it for years on end. If we always knew where the animals were and just kind of drove up to them every single day, it'd take a little bit of the edge off. Having to actually physically track and look and find and do all of these things makes it very, very important, and makes it hugely rewarding when you do find something. Particularly now, if one of us had to find a leopard now, it definitely would kind of increase everybody's appreciation of finding them. So we joke around about not seeing them, but it's part of life out here. We haven't seen any, well, I haven't seen any eddies this afternoon. I haven't seen any buffalo. I haven't seen any of the cats. Haven't seen much at all, in fact. Hardly any antelope too. So it's just been a quiet drive, but these kind of drives are always good. They kind of check you again and make sure that you appreciate when you do see nice things, and we have been having such a good run of late that a quiet drive once in a while, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'd imagine that the reason why we're having a bit of a quiet day today is probably due to the heat. A lot of the animals generally would probably only start getting moving now when it's starting to cool down, and we're actually starting to see more and more animals coming out. We've seen a few little duikers coming out. We've seen Steenbok, a couple of Nyala, but obviously we can't view them with a spotlight, so we haven't been shining on them. But slowly but surely animals are starting to emerge from all the thickets where they've been hiding from the oppressive sun that baked down during the day. Anyway, beautiful day either way. Like I say, still a bad day here is better than me sitting in a small office behind a computer, but that's just me. Right, now you saw Taylor and I had a little conference chat at Spaghetti Junction. We had a chat over the spaghetti. Ha ha ha. Now I don't know what she's going to get up to now, Shame. I think she's at a loss as to where she wants to drive, but I have a good feeling that she's going to bump little Hosanna somewhere now, and so let's go across to her and see how long it's going to take her to bump into him, and I reckon 2 minutes, and go.
I don't know, I feel like it's going to be more fun actually just chasing after Tristan, in all honesty. So we probably will just go looking for him. But no, I don't know where this cat has gone. I give up. You know what could have also happened? He could have actually just made a kill already, and maybe he's just eating it. I mean, we did walk the block. We couldn't do the entire block. We'd still be walking it. It's so big and zigzagging around. So I don't know. I'm not sure what on earth is going on with these animals. All the bumps. Okay, we're going to go back to Treehouse Dam though. I think if we're going to find anything, it's probably going to be there. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyways. Oh, and then also, thank you, Chris Rogue. My apologies. You all know I'm not very good at identifying the hyenas, but you said that was actually Pretty, not Corky, which is fantastic news because you could clearly see she had a big belly. I don't know if she was just full, but it looks like I thought they were suckle marks. I mean, you could see her mammary glands were clearly swollen, but maybe they weren't mammary glands. Maybe she's going to give birth soon. I'm wondering if we might pop past the den if we make it there in time, and the hyena den or Philemon's cut line, just to have a quick squiz. But very interesting though, good prospects. Alright, please can a leopard just also pop out at the road or be at Treehouse Dam drinking water? Paula, I don't know when the chameleons are going to come out. I'm surprised we haven't seen them yet because it's warm. Typically it's when the weather just changes that you start to see more of them. But maybe they feel a bit vulnerable because half of the trees don't have any leaves on them, and they're going to stand out like a sore thumb. And then from snakes to birds of prey and things like that will easily be able to eat them. So perhaps that's why they're still lingering around. And they're here, so it's not like they migrate anywhere. They just sort of hide away closer down to the base of the tree where there's still a bit of grass, so that they've actually got a little bit of cover. So, our infrared light is on. I feel, thank you. I felt my brain getting warm. No, I'm joking. So yeah, so I'm hoping to see them. I'm always on the lookout for chameleons, Paula. I'm hoping that we get to see some soon. That is always my favorite challenge. Oh, cool, look at this. Let me just quickly switch all the lights off. Cool, we're going to go into infrared. I'm also trying to figure out, how do I turn all the lights off? That's the keys. Okay, up we go on the damn wall. We're back at Treehouse Dam again for the 18th time today. And we have a wildebeest. There are actually two zebra, and then there was some impala. But let's look at these guys. It was quite funny. We drove past them earlier. They were in the bushes, but it was the two zebra and the wildebeest standing in the middle, and then they had a ring of impala around them. I don't know if there was some initiation going on. It looked very, very suspicious, whatever they were up to. I think now they're just acting normal again. The wildebeest doesn't know who to follow. Did you see that? Look left, right. And he was like, oh, not too sure about the zebra. Probably just going to follow the impala. There's more of them. Oh, wow, look at the night. Did you see that? Let's see if... Oh, no, there's a nightjar flying around over the dam. Look how it's drinking water. Wow. I think it's drinking water unless it's catching insects on the surface of the water, but it does touch it. I wish it would come back because that was fascinating, but no. No, it's gone. Okay. Hi, zebra. Yes, it's just us. Not too sure of us staring straight at us right now, but remember we are in infrared. We're really lucky. Normally we wouldn't be viewing these diurnal animals at this time with a spotlight. They just came down for a quick drink and not hanging around at the watering hole for too long. Right. Now, I know the sausage tree of pride would love to feast upon a zebra, although at the moment there seem to be more wildebeest around. As the migration is underway, perhaps Steve will get lucky this evening.
Thanks, Taylor. They haven't done much. The one lioness has moved back over after giving Kapuli a little bit of attention. He didn't seem too interested. She walked all the way over, and we thought something was going to happen and movement was going to start, and then she flopped down again and got a 4 out of 10 on her lion flop. She tucked her legs underneath her and pretty much just sat down, so nowhere near the beautiful flop of Kapuli earlier, which is still scoring a very high 10. And so as it works, these lions, probably 2 minutes before the end of show, will probably start calling or getting up and doing something as they normally do. I think if they weren't as full as they are, they probably would have been moving already. Just don't seemingly have that need to move right now. Yeah, it might happen 2 minutes after the show as well. We'll stay a few minutes and see, just to make sure. We'll stay exactly 2 minutes after the show, just to make sure. And then let you all know in the morning. But hopefully, in the next couple of minutes, we'll get a little bit of action out of them, even if it's just a little collective group roar. That would be fantastic. A bit of a stretch. You can see the eyes shining back at us. If we could see clearly on those eyes, you'd see that those pupils are enormous, taking in as much light as possible. For those of you who are viewing this for the first time, we are looking at these lions in the pitch black with the infrared light. So it sends out a frequency of light that we are able to, off of the spectrum. It doesn't influence anybody, and then our camera is able to pick up on that light, very low frequency. It's very unobtrusive, and some people would say that's how some predators are able to see in the dark. They look at a very low spectrum in black and white. That's very hard to say. I've never looked through a lion's eye. It would be marvelous to do so one day. And all four are together now. The movements of their heads before was obviously that fourth lioness coming around the little swampy marsh area to flop herself down. Sadly, we missed her flop. We weren't able to give her a score out of 10, but by the way she's sitting, I think it was probably a measly 4 or 5. Very still air. Haven't heard any nightjars. I saw a nightjar fly past earlier, but I wasn't able to identify it. Calsticks, I have not yet heard a leopard sawing, in the Mara that is. I would love to. Something I do have to report, that is something I was talking about 2 weeks ago in Juma, about the most annoying sounds in the night. Well, one of my most favourite sounds is a leopard sawing, and probably the most annoying sound is a thick-tailed bush baby, which I realised last night is hanging around camp. Thankfully I brought some earplugs with me, because he went off every 4.5 minutes. He would make this really weird coughing sound, and then the sound of a baby being strangled in the night was erupting not far from my tent. Did you hear it, James?
Yes.
Yes, James answered there very quickly. Has it been around for some time?
Yes.
Yes, it has.
For like 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks or so. Picture a baby screaming in the night repeatedly, high up in a tree. That is what it sounds like. It would be okay if it was your own child, but it's not my child. So I just want to drown out the sound. So we officially have thick-tailed bush babies close to camp, which is not the highlight of my time so far in the Mara, but I'm sure I'll get over it. Thank goodness there are no really tall trees nearby our tent, so the animal can only get within about 50 meters of where we are. I have had them before right up above my tent, probably about 6 meters above my head. And wow, there's only one animal in my life I've ever wanted to throttle, and that was that one. I never did though, folks. I never did. I'll let it be. I think that's why I invested in earplugs, just for that moment. And last night, even the earplugs, you could hear it through. So that is my announcement for the day. I meant to mention it this morning, but how I forgot. I think it was the beautiful vistas and the beautiful start with the sunrise and hyena straight away, and I just completely forgot until now. Calsticks was asking me about leopard sawing. I hear hyena in the night. I hear lions, but I have yet to hear a leopard saw. But I will let you know as soon as I do. James, have you heard a leopard sawing since you've been here?
No.
James hasn't. No doubt we have them up in the valleys. I think they might just keep pretty quiet. Who knows? Who knows? A lot for me to investigate with the leopard dynamics up in the Mara. I have mentioned I saw 2 sightings last time I was here, probably the same female, not far from the sort of entranceway up to the top of the mountain where we are currently living. But for the moment there are no sounds of the night apart from the bats and seemingly some distant frogs, but I'm not quite sure. A little bit of a clicking sound. Okay, well, we're going to go back down to Seth the Sloth with his spotlight.
I knew I shouldn't have said that. That's definitely not going to go well, I can imagine. I'm just checking slowly just to see if our little scopsowl is here or if one of our pearl spotteds is. There's often both of those in that particular tree, and so I was just having a little look. Unfortunately, no sign of Hosanna, so my 2-minute prediction for Taylor didn't work, unfortunately, and no leopard for me on Ingwe Alley. But it's still a beautiful evening, and we've had quite a nice drive, just slowly bumbling along and just trying to see what we can find. We've been listening out for owls and been chatting about all kinds of things, and actually remembered that we should go and check, given that owls are all nesting at the moment. They should be, most of them should be nesting. So we should have, you know, most of the bigger owl species in particular, so Varroes, spotted eagle owl, they'll all be nesting at the moment. Is that just a stump there, Craig? Yes, it's just a stump. So there's a little kind of thing down in below the dam wall, but it had almost like a head shape for a second, so I was just double checking that. And then I remembered that we had a barn owl nest at Chitwa last year, and I've completely forgotten about it until Craig mentioned it now. And so I thought maybe we should actually go and check out the barn owl nest at some point. I haven't been to Chitwa since we've been back at all, and I think maybe it's time to go and have a little look and see. Maybe that tree is housing the barn owls again, and they're actually inside that nest, and everything is still going well. I remember it was just when it was quite late in the season, wasn't it? Was it before I went to Mara? It was before I went to Mara. So maybe they're still there. Maybe they've got chicks again or eggs. So it'll be a good thing to go and have a little scratch at it and see whether or not we can actually see any sign of those barn owls. The problem is that they've done quite a lot of construction in that area of a new little part of Chitwa, and so that means that maybe it's just been too noisy for those barn owls to actually kind of stay there. Although we know they spend time in the camp itself. They used to go in and out at dinner times from the lodge, and so I suppose they don't really mind too much about people, but it'll be interesting. It'll be a good place to go and just double check and have a little look and see. Maybe we can find the barn owl nest. It's a very cool nest to see. Oh, here you are, animals. Well, where have you been all afternoon? Yes, impalas, wildebeest. Everybody's here. We missed the invitation, Craig. But yes, here's all the migration. Anything Steve has got, we can match. Yes, there we go. Look at that. Look at the migrating herds moving through the Djuma wilderness. Not quite, eh? Not exactly the same thing. But it still is our little herd, and that's our herd that comes every night. Exactly, better than what we've had most of the afternoon. Very cool to see. I always like seeing this herd. There's a soft spot for all of these guys, obviously, because we saw 2 of them being born. It makes the herd kind of endearing to us, and we followed them, and you can see the females are getting pregnant again. If you go to the left for me, Craig, quickly, that one there, yeah, that first one, you can see, look at the size of the tummies now. They're starting to get a little pregnant and showing their pregnancy. They'll give birth in December probably, and so hopefully there will be some more births this year. And the herd's done really well to have kind of survived the way they have during the course of this winter. Now, we've been using our spotlight to try to find animals. Taylor's still trying to find the little chief, and, well, I wonder if she'll have some last-minute luck.
I'm giving up. I don't care for any of the cats this evening. They are rude. I'm upset with them. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to put them on camera. No, I'm just joking. No, we've moved out of the area now. We're coming up to quarantine, and maybe we'll see an owl or something. I'll be surprised if we see a leopard. We might bump into another hyena. That sound that this car is making is horrific. I don't know what's happening. Wendy's not healthy though. Wendy's got like the equivalent of a serious cough at the moment. He needs to go and get checked by Dr. Opa, because I'll have to send her in tomorrow to the workshop, to the hospital bay, just to have a quick look. I don't think it's anything serious. It kind of sounds like something is bent out of place where it shouldn't be, and is touching. I don't know, because it's like when I turn, It goes, eh, 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 eh. That is the sound Wendy is making at the moment. Or she's trying to learn English. You know, maybe it's time. Maybe she said, I'm old, let me retire. Maybe that's what's happening. Okay, come on, southern white-faced skopsows. Let's see if we can get out. Yeah. What even is that sound? Can you hear it, Louise? Maybe she's going, I'm thirsty. I have no idea. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's watch the wildebeest crossing in front of us. There's a couple of them charging across. Obviously, they've had a quick drink at the pan. There's Tristan in the distance. And now they're heading up to, I suppose, what they think is a safe haven on quarantine because it's nice and open. Luckily for you, there aren't any lions on the property yet, wildebeest, but you better keep an eye out. And I'm sure if we hear any lions, they'll probably come past this way. I didn't see any big herds of buffalo. They've also moved off. But it's been a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully we'll have more leopard luck in the morning. So join us then for the sunrise safari. Toodaloo.